that weird when you decide to quit and all of a sudden people close to you still do it and it almost feels like they're trying to tempt you or something?
You know what? To me, I'm just so humbled and grateful to be alive because I was headed down death.
You told me the story before. But
yeah, well, you know, for me, the night when I went to treatment, I played at a bar right down the road.
Was it?
And I was thinking
Narrows or what
no, it was out in Waverly.
Oh, okay.
And I was thinking of just cutting out, and I was like, if you do, you're dead. And I went outside and just prayed to God. I went, oh my God, if I leave here, I'm dead. I said, you got to help me. This is too big.
You were going to leave the gig early?
I was going to leave treatment and then my family would have disowned me. Lynn, I was out of the house. That's how much alcohol controls you.
Okay.
And that night I stood out there and I prayed and I went back in, fell asleep, woke up the next morning, went, let's do this thing. Overnight.
Just quit.
Took 40 years of alcoholism and just took it away from me and gave me my life back. And I'm like, I ain't arguing with that.
You just felt it all of a sudden?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was God.
So no
human power on earth can do that to a man.
But no craving after that?
No.
You just said, I don't need that.
Little thoughts, but
Sure.
Geez, I'd love to have a beer. But never. I mean, I'm like, I'm not going to spit on a gift from God.
Sure. Yeah, all of a sudden, it's like getting rid of something you've had your whole life, almost like a chronic illness or something.
And
Suddenly it's just gone.
Like the blind gets to see again.
Yeah, right.
And that's what it was for me because I was like, holy God.
Rose from the dead.
And it was awesome. I mean, it's just to me, I tell the story to anybody I can.
Sure.
Because it's not that that's going to happen to you, but just know that from my heart, truthfully, it happened to me.
Yeah. Firsthand.
Well,
when you say, from the stories I remember, not to laugh at them, but they're so crazy that
they're all funny.
Yeah, I almost can't help.
You can't make it up.
I've seen people in that level, but I've never felt that level. I've never really been at that level as far as being out of control and blacking out and stuff. But how bad was it when it was at its worst, when you really felt like you had to finally change?
Oh, I was drinking, I could drink a case of beer during a Twins game.
What's a case, 24?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And when the game was over, I'd go down and get another one.
I don't know. I can't have two beers. I have one and I'm like, I'm good. Two and I feel like I'm full. How do you, it's just drink pee all day?
Oh, yeah. And when I went to the fridge, I grabbed 2 beers.
Okay.
Then I would grab 3. And then, and then in the morning, a code for me, you might be an alcoholic, but you never drink before you go to work. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, I knew when I started to have a beer at 6 in the morning, and then all of a sudden it was 3 beers before I walked out the door, and then all of a sudden I'm bringing beers in my cooler.
Sure.
Because I'm on my own at the homeowner's house. And then towards the very end, they offered me to have beers, and I never would do that. I don't care. You just don't.
Okay.
Next thing you know, I'm drinking, and then all of a sudden I was drinking more of their beer, and they're going, what the hell are you doing?
You're talking at work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I work at homeowners' houses, mm-hmm.
So they offered you a beer and you were like, no, but that eventually changed.
Yes.
And now you're drinking all the time.
Everything progressed into, and then the funny thing was after all those years of drinking, sitting at my breakfast bar, I just lost it. I started crying uncontrollably because I just seen myself just gonna die, and I seen me go against all my moral values.
Okay.
And I prayed to God that night. I said, this is ridiculous. If you don't help me, I'm going to die. The next morning, all of a sudden I'm laying on my couch and the door's open and I see my aunt, my uncles, my mom and my sisters, and I go, all right, they're not here for coffee. Whoa. Or they're not here, they're not here for breakfast. And
was it like an intervention? Okay.
And it was funny because I was so ready to go to treatment. And I just sat there. I didn't make much of an expression, but they all said, Brian, we want you to shut up and we're going to talk to you. And so I just sat there, listened to them, and then they go, would you like to go to, okay, so we said what we have to say. And I said, yeah, that's good. And they said, well, what do you think? I said, I agree with everything you said. And they're like, one uncle's a cop, and he thought he was going to have to call the cops to come in. And they all just kind of were stunned, and they go, okay. would you be willing to go to treatment? I said, absolutely. And they all just stood up and cheered. And
Really?
and the whole room just changed. I said, no, I'm ready to go, man. You wouldn't believe what I just was praying for last night.
Like they were finally able to exhale because the whole time they thought you were going to just.
I don't even have any idea what I put these people through.
Yeah. Well, isn't that weird that it happened right after the night you said I'm ready to change? Because what would have happened if they intervened a couple days before that?
Or, you know, what if they didn't intervene?
Would you have gone in anyway?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, really?
Probably not.
Okay.
Because I already tried before, and I didn't know how to get all that paperwork stuff going and this and that, and I needed the push, and God made sure that it was happening. I'm sure He knew it was like, if I don't do something, this idiot's just gonna keep drinking.
Wow. So just had to show you the way with a little push.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, a lot of people who get sober or go through a big transformation, they bring up God or higher power. I know the 12-step program is all about that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, and they even teach you, if you don't believe in God, you got to believe in something higher than yourself.
Yeah.
So we don't care if it's that doorknob over there.
Sure.
Just look at the doorknob and go, okay, you have more power than I have. And just believe in, it's just to get you to believe in something higher than yourself. And your AA group is a higher power.
Sure.
And like my uncle said, you have 2 ears and one mouth for a reason.
Yeah.
And I keep telling him, I said, I'll never, and the one thing he told me, he goes, never forget your last drunk. And because it was the night before they came over, and I was distraught at my last penny and just out of my mind about it,
So they say don't forget the last time you were drunk and how you felt.
Yep.
Because it's easy to, even if you're in a band, the next day, even if you had a bad hangover, hair of the dog that bit you, just have a quick whiskey and all of a sudden you're back to feeling good. It's just easy to okay.
Oh, yeah.
Damn. That's crazy. And then if you mind, how old were you when you finally hit rock bottom and you said, I got to change?
Well, it was 12 years ago and I'm 57 now.
Okay. 12 years ago, huh?
Yep.
Wow. And when did I first meet you? How many years ago was that?
It was probably, boy, I bet, has it been 8 years?
Well, where was I? What building was it?
You were at the old building.
Oh, at Zachary?
And then that's when I came. I went to Guitar Center.
Yeah.
And I was looking at trying
Yeah.
to find something, and they gave me your number, and I was like, the best thing that ever happened.
Might have been 5 years ago now. It had to be more than 5, just because how long I was over there and now over here. Okay. Yeah, and then you had already been sober for quite a few years then from there?
For 7 years then, probably.
Okay, so you were well on your way. You were fine.
Yeah.
It's not like you were just getting into that at the time.
No, but it was still I'm still, when you're, and I totally believe this. I was 15 when I started drinking. When I started, I was an alcoholic right out of the get-go. I was out of control.
But it's illegal. You can't drink till you're 21.
I was playing in the bar when I was
possible?
16.
No one under 21 ever drinks.
Yep. Well,
That's
when
so
you
crazy.
showed it was funny because I went over to the bar and auditioned. They never asked me. And then when it was 18 was the legal drinking age for me.
What state was this?
Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
But that's when they changed it, before they changed the drinking age.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing for 2 years in the bar before I was even legal,
Okay.
drinking like a son of a gun. And when it was my 18th birthday, I said, the manager, she loved me. And I said, no, I can drink here legally. She goes, shut up. What? I said, no, I just turned 18. She goes, you mean you've been here since you were 16?
Wow. Did you look older?
They never asked.
Oh, don't ask, don't tell sometimes. I was playing when I was 15 in bars as well, but we never drank, and we had somebody to watch us all the time. Our manager was our singer's dad, so that's the only way we got away with it. But we had to be 21 to drink when I was in bars, so they were really hard on us for that. Damn, 16 playing bars.
Back then I was doing a solo.
Okay, just you and electric guitar.
Yep.
Okay. I was thinking about our infamous gig outside where we didn't really have time to find a drummer and a bass player, so I programmed all the backing tracks. Remember that?
Yep.
The outdoor gig. It was good for what it was, but it was still kind of a nightmare to have to do that. But just seeing you play with a guitar, I realized you could carry the whole show yourself if you had to, because you were so used to it.
Well, that's what I did with I was always the front man, and with my buddy Dave, who passed away from alcoholism and drugs, like right after my dad, and that's when I really started. I mean, I turned into a whole nother level of alcoholic.
So instead of that making you want to change, it drove you deeper.
Well, yeah, and I never usually was that type of person. I would be going the other way, but for some reason, I went the bad way, and just throttled her. I mean, it was bad. That's why, to me, that's the day the music died, was when my dad died. It was gone, but when my buddy died, it was all gone. I didn't know what to do, and so I didn't play a show till I met you.
That's crazy. I know you mentioned it a lot.
And it breaks my heart because it's my one. I mean, it's the one thing I just literally love to do.
And you're good at it.
Well, thanks, man. Well, put it this way. That's why it was a godsend that I met you, because number one, I learned a lot just watching you play. I'll never be the player that you are. I'm too old, and my mind isn't even smart enough to figure it out. But it's just, I'm a fan of music. And when I meet somebody like you that can just flat out play, I just enjoy the crap out of it. I just love it.
Yeah, you're a huge fan of guitar playing, I can tell.
Well, I've always loved
songs.
guitars. I mean, I have a picture of me when I was this little standing next to my dad, and just enthralled by that thing,
Since day one, then.
But for me, my buddy Dave played lead, so I never even pursued it anymore. Like he said, though, I can't play rhythm like you can, because I can play just straightforward.
Yeah, you're like a whole band in one person.
Well, my dad played bass almost. I mean, he played rhythm, but he carried this bass notes all the time. So I learned that from him, where it keeps it a little bit more rich on the background, and it blends with the bass guitar too.
Doesn't fight with it.
Yep.
It complements it.
I don't like to play all the string. I mean, sometimes when it's a full, I like to play that extra finger on the G chord, and stuff like that, and then they go to the C and hang on to
Sure.
it. And when it's really when you're full into some good rhythm, singing and harmonies and stuff like that. But then when it's time to calm down, get on those bass notes on the C or the G or the A. Just don't even hit anything else. Just the two strings or whatever.
Ride the bass notes.
Yep, exactly.
That's fun when you're the only guitarist in a band too, and you can take up that much space. I did a video on how to be in a 3-piece band, because you watch guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan or some of those earlier guitar players, and you hear so much sound coming out of one guitar. And I'm thinking, man, my whole life I played with a rhythm guitar player, so I didn't have to take up that much space. Then I joined a 3-piece country band for a while, and you really learn how to thicken things up. That's exactly how I did it, what you just said.
Well, I'll tell you what, that reminded me, Stevie Ray Vaughan, when we were playing, when you were doing Pitch Fever.
Yeah.
And we were playing, and you did Mary Had a Little Lamb by Stevie, and then there was another one too.
Yep.
God, you just did it so good. I got chills when you were playing
thanks,
it, because
man.
I was like, I'm standing right next to a guy who can pretty much get that done.
Well, it feels good to play his style.
Isn't
especially-
he? I didn't really know much about him till after he died.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan. I got to see a TV special with him, and I was a fan. I mean, I just was like, damn, I came into this too late.
A lot of people did, and when he died, I think it was 6 or something like that.
It was
a little later.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, what's weird is how much I didn't know about his music, because my friend Mike was a huge fan of his, and he was like, "You like SRV?" And I was thinking, "Yeah, Pride and Joy." It's all I kind of knew. And then you go back and you listen to all his stuff. You see his live videos. There's a video of him breaking a string, and then his roadie brings up his other guitar, and he basically just changes guitars without anyone noticing. It's amazing. So he was born to play.
Oh, yeah.
And he had those thick 13-gauge strings, people say, and just the biggest sound for a single guitar player. It's insane.
Yep.
But he eventually got a keyboardist to kind of fill out the sound a little bit. But if you go way back in the early days when it was just 3 people, it still sounded huge.
He was just a phenom, and I just loved. There's guys that are on stage like you, where you get lost in just watching them. And when I see you play, I just want to go, keep going. Don't quit now. I want you to keep going. And that's the way it was with Stevie. It's like I couldn't get enough. But there's no way I could play like that. I mean, he's just too good that you just,
Yeah.
you know, I shouldn't say that. You know, I mean, I don't like to limit myself, but I mean, I guess that comes from the humble part of myself that I pretty much like to just say that I like to tip my hat where it's due. And
Well, yeah, it's good you're able to do that because it shows. I do the same with people I look at and I go, they're on another level. But what I notice about guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan is maybe it was the drugs, I don't know. But he would play and his eyes were closed and it almost seemed like something was playing through him. I know it sounds kind of weird, but you know what I mean?
oh yeah, no, I understand that completely.
And when you play on stage, you probably feel that too when you're in the groove with a band. And after you're done, you're thinking, God, I didn't even have to think about how to play. I just let it express itself, whatever
Well,
that is.
that video that you said check this one out, and so I checked it out, and it was this things not to do and this and that.
Yeah.
I was like, when we were playing, I never broke any of the rules. And then when I met you, I was so out of sorts with music because I hadn't played for so long. Mm-hmm. And here I put your poor butt through making all those songs up for me for that party. I still owe you an apology for that.
No, I'll tell you a story about that later, but yeah.
I do apologize.
I had fun. Except
Well,
for
you
mosquitoes.
worked your butt off, and I didn't even. I was that one there. I was too lost in my own. Put it this way, for me, it's like when you end up getting an extra burger and you're not, and you find out you weren't exactly that hungry.
Yeah.
Well, I had all those songs and I wanted to play them so bad, but I didn't have the capability, and it was very disheartening, depressing, hurtful, and for you, and mostly for you, because I know you put a lot of time into getting those ready, and I couldn't do it. And so for me, it felt failure.
Really? You didn't think you pulled it off that night?
Well, I thought we did all right.
Yeah.
You were fine. You were great the whole night. And then when I was listening to that video and my equipment didn't work, I'm like, I always have my gear, because when you play, and then if anything looks like it's broke, man, you can't afford to have set your stuff, plug up, and then start to play, and then
Right. Didn't you sell your Telecaster to buy that amp?
yes.
I remember going to Guitar Center and seeing this really cool old-looking telly. I think they had it for, $8,000 or something crazy like that. I don't know what it was. But that was your guitar. And you sold it for you don't have to say how much, but to get a new amp for this gig and everything, I believe.
Yep.
And then it kind of got weird on you at the concert. I forgot.
No, it was I have those powered Eclipse speakers, and we had to rewire them, and it just turned into a nightmare.
I think Chris was there, or Nick, or somebody was there to help. Okay, yeah.
Nick was there.
But for all we did, all I remember about, two things. One was programming all those songs, because for people that weren't there, which is everybody probably, but we had to, you would choose a song Garth Brooks or something.
Yep.
And I would listen to the real song, and I would create a click track, and there was a hi-hat 4 in the beginning, and then we would follow it. But the problem is if we got off, the whole song was off unless we knew where we were again.
Yep.
So that was kind of scary. We were going into it knowing we could have a high chance of me having to shut off
And
the
we didn't
backing
even
track.
practice.
I thought we practiced once.
That's what I mean, though.
Yeah.
That's not practicing.
And it was a trial, and it wasn't even, I think we made mistakes and we didn't fix them.
I think so.
We just said, we're going to go there and just do it and see what happens.
Yep.
But that was funny how we played. Some people got into it, But then at the end of the night, if you remember, somebody thought to turn on those stage lights or turn them off. I can't remember
The
which one it
skeeters?
was. Suddenly,
They were
wall of mosquitoes came out of nowhere and chased us off the stage. And I swear there's a recording of it. Didn't Nick record the show?
I don't know.
I thought I heard it back somehow.
If he did, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, I'll ask him. But what's funny is suddenly you hear us making all these mistakes.
Well, that's because we were swatting skeeters.
Yep. All of a sudden, here comes a lead part. You hear instead nothing because I was scratching or swatting something off, and then back to playing, and then swatting, and it was just such a
that was
nightmare.
on another level as far as mosquitoes, though, because that was scary. I thought
That was bad.
it was. I don't remember ever being in a gig that bad.
I have been, but I played in a lot of shitty country bands that played out in the woods, and you would start and everything's great, and all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere. One time it was mayflies. Attack of the Mayflies.
Oh.
Because we were up north somewhere, and all of a sudden I looked in the side of the restaurant that was there, and the whole side of it was covered. I thought it was the color of the wall. It was all mayflies. So like that's a weird texture to the side. It's
They're
all
moving.
black. It's moving and it's buzzing. And then we started to play, and when we turned the lights on, they were attracted to them or something. And we played next to the pool, and it was supposed to be this really awesome thing. There's going to be girls here. It's going to be so cool. Instead, it's us running away from flies. So
Well,
it was bad.
I got a good last year. Diamond Rio played at the.
They're still around?
Oh yeah,
Holy shit.
they just played at the. I can't remember what they call it. It's out in Delano at the golf course, and literally, they got hit with mayflies and mosquitoes, and they were up there, and it was. I felt bad for them, but it was kind of funny because they were choking on them. They're trying to sing, and all of a sudden they'd be like,
Oh my God.
I
Right
mean,
in the mouth.
They were swarmed. You could see it was worse than you and I. Well, at least as bad as, if not worse, because they were just joking about it on the mic. They're going, "Oh God, we're like, yeah, I see them."
Infestation. Yeah, to us in the crowd, it looks like a huge cloud of something coming
yeah.
after them. Happened to Weezer too recently when they played in Minnesota. All of a sudden they're playing and just a huge swarm, just like in a cartoon of bees, it looks like, but it was mayflies. And they had to put on hats and stuff just to keep them away from their eyes. And I was like, man, there's no getting away from nature sometimes when you're playing.
Well, the other thing that was cool is Artimus Pyle, the original drummer from Leonard Skinner, or not the original one. He was the second one.
Artemis, I love that name.
Yeah, he played headed Diamond Rio.
Okay.
Awesome. They're really good. They played all the Leonard Skinner tunes.
Really?
Yep, and they were good.
Diamond Rio's always been this band ever since the early 90s, I think they started or something.
Yep. Well, don't you like their lead guitar player? He bends those notes and stuff. He makes it sound like a steel guitar.
Back then it was, I think, Little Texas, Diamond Rio, Blackhawk, was it?
Oh yeah, Black Hawk.
All these bands were just killing it. But now if you watch the old videos, it's funny. They're all wearing these kind of Garth Brooksy shirts and kind of cheesy 90s looking, but the music was really great, especially Little Texas. I really love that song, What Might Have Been, and great songwriters. But there's like a certain sound happening back then. There was a lot of gated snare sounds and stuff. But
Well,
great band.
It's so funny because even at a very young age, that's why Garth Brooks is very special to me, because I remember being down. I had an imagination for stage presence and stuff because I seen my dad on stage and how he made it look and everything. And I just always hated being stationary. So I took a coat hanger and I tried taking a Shure mic and doing the headset type thing.
With a, oh wow, tied around like a harmonica holder almost.
Well, I never got it to work because the mic was too heavy. But I was sitting there trying to do it. And then all of a sudden Garth Brooks comes out and he's wearing this headset and doing this thing. And I'm going, that guy's got it going on. Not because of the headset, but I was just so impressed with everything he did was just mirrored as to what I was trying to do my whole life.
Oh, really?
So when I see him play, I just see this mirror of what I would have wanted to do.
Sure.
And he does it so well.
Well, do you know who one of his biggest influences
I
is?
just went and seen him when he was here.
Really?
Yep.
Did he do like 5 nights at the Target Center or something?
He played for 2.5 hours with no break.
Yeah. He's kind of like,
He's a worker.
he's the country Springsteen all of a sudden.
Well, he did 3 shows a night or something like that for down south for some benefits and stuff. He, since when he was on his hiatus, but Lynn read it to me. She looked up this thing and nothing but kudos to him. I mean, he's been doing all this benefits and stuff like that for starving kids or whatever comes up. He's there and he'll play 3 shows in the same day.
I wonder if they replaced him with some kind of robot Garth, because
I think so.
You think at his age he couldn't, but he's not that old, but he's done so much in his life. If you watch some of his Instagram videos though, it seems like he's a little off now. Like he went a little crazy. I know he took a break, I think, to raise his kids or something.
Yep.
And then he played Vegas, and I think that did him in a little bit. He would show up.
Because he did a solo there and his wife came out, who was awesome. I can't remember Trisha Yearwood.
Yeah. I thought they divorced, but I
they're
read
still
an article
together
about his past wife. Yep.
Yeah, his past wife. But Garth I've seen him 3 times. I mean, he's just, Alabama's another one. I mean, all those guys, I mean, I just, they inspired me when you love music down in your soul, and you hear a band that just makes you just get the chills.
Especially live. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I can imagine because Garth's one of his biggest early influences was Kiss. I don't know if you know that.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So he was on a album that was a benefit album, I think, where a bunch of these artists did Kiss covers, and he did Hard Luck Woman, I think. And he did such a good job. Everyone's like, I didn't know Garth liked Kiss.
Well, he said, you know, he even says on a show, you know, before I was Garth, like this, he's like, we used to do a lot of different cover tunes and stuff, you know, long time ago. You know, he did that song. And then, you know, but he likes to do songs from other people. And the guy is just good.
Yeah, he could play anything. He did Kiss song great. He did he did American Pie, obviously. Yep. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where if you don't see him live, like a lot of his videos show him playing live and it looks exciting. But I wonder if it's just because I've never seen him live. So.
Well, he's so funny because he's sitting there. I mean, his stage is unbelievable.
I'm sure it is. No,
it's a big circle thing, and I mean, it's all lighted and
it's
digital.
360, so you're like in a big, so okay.
And the best part was, no one knew this, but all of a sudden here comes, what's his name? Hootie.
Oh yeah,
Darius Rucker came out and did 45 minutes.
He's country
and just
now,
rocked the place.
These guys went country. Like Hootie's country.
Darius he's really good. I mean, I love him. I'm gonna do a couple of his tunes.
Yeah, great voice.
But he seems like such a neat guy too. And it was so funny because he comes out and he goes, now that Garth announced that he was going to do this tour, Darius goes, yeah, you know, we're at this, you know, this function that we're all at, and I see Garth over there, and he says, I go, Garth, when are we going to do a show together? And so he goes, he mentioned tonight, so I'm here.
What are you doing tonight?
Yeah, exactly.
And he came up and just did his set? Or
yep.
Did they? Okay.
Yep. Garth wasn't out yet. He just went, and he went around, and that stage is about, it's got to be 200 feet wide, and it's got the big 4 pillars that are all digitally done. I mean, the workup that they have on this thing, and it's all cool lighting, greens and reds and blues. I mean, and it's just unbelievable. All self-contained, so that they can do outdoor shows. But Garth, he ends up outside getting rained on anyway, but at least everybody else is dry.
That's when you play The Thunder Rolls, right?
Oh, yeah.
How do they afford all this? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
If you knew how big, some people don't know how big Garth was when I was growing up.
Oh, he's huge.
So big. I mean, you hear him now and he kind of sounds maybe not as big, but he's a legend. He is. And, you know, he said way back when, he said, you know, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to you people. He said, I've got enough money for my grandchildren's children's children. You know, he just went down the list. He goes, I got money. He's got money for all our grandchildren.
Yeah, he says their money's not an issue.
Yeah.
But you know what? The joy that he brings to people you can only spend so much. So once you have that much money, I got to think that it really doesn't matter because you still got to get up every day. You still got to do what you're supposed to do for the day. So when he's out there getting ready for a stage, it doesn't matter that he's got $500 million sitting in the bank. He still has to go out and perform and live his life like everybody else. I got a job to do.
He still has to get in his private helicopter and fly to the show. Which he did to get through the Vegas shows. He would just fly there that night and play and come back, which is a smart idea.
Yep.
You don't want to stay in Vegas longer than you have to if you're
married. No, I bet he didn't either. I mean, because he's a country boy.
Yeah. As far as I know, he's very humble in his heart.
He sure seems like it.
Everyone who wins the lottery that I've heard from, even just being able to quit what I was doing before and feeling like I finally have some extra stuff. On a small scale, I told my friend Chris this, I bought a bunch of guitars. I just bought a bunch of stuff I loved. And then I went one thing too far. I bought an Apple Watch. You ever see those?
Yes.
And every time I turned my wrist, it lit up. And I'm like, ugh. I felt like I was on a leash. And I was like, I went one thing too far here, and I just gave it away because I didn't want any more. I'm like, okay, even if I had $1 billion, I think there'd be the same thing. It might be scaled differently.
Right.
I have 20 homes. Why do I need 20 homes? Half of them are sitting open all the time, let's say, if you had $1 billion. How do you take care of these homes? You have 24-hour maids? What do you do?
Yeah.
And after a while, it becomes maybe a mental burden to know you have all these things everywhere that are not being utilized. That's why I sold my PRS, because I felt like I had this hot car in the garage that I never drove because it sat in the corner. That's why I sold it to my student. But you ever have something like that where you're just thinking, this is too fancy for what I need?
I have never had enough money to ever feel that way.
Really? Well, you have a nice truck.
Now, you know what?
But you use it.
Every day.
Yeah.
And I take very good care of it.
I could tell. It's the same one that we drove to the gig.
It's got 230,000 miles on it.
Do you ever have to change anything up
Nope.
in the engine? Really?
I do the oil changes on a regular basis and just take care of it.
My old Saturn finally blew up. I was driving it.
I was wondering, I was looking for it.
Well, it's across the street at the rental place, but I drove it, and one day after jiu-jitsu, it sounded like something just popped finally. And all the way home, it was like, brrrr, and I barely made it home. And then I had to go from home to the repair place, which I don't know how I got there. By the time I got to the parking lot, my car was shut off, and I was basically trying to push it in, it was that close. But it's because I forgot to change the oil in time. It's very important to do that, by the way.
Yeah.
So now I just leave that thing at the rental place, and I'll just rent a car here and there, and it works out. It's really strange, but in between cars, I'm glad you have something solid. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, now that it's got 230,000 on it, I'm a little bit worried.
You're gonna downscale to like a Tesla?
I gotta have a truck.
Okay.
I have to, because I just have too many things I have to haul around all the
Sure.
time. And a suburban type vehicle doesn't make any sense to me.
You doing a lot of landscaping stuff? Or
Tile work.
Tile work and indoor stuff.
I'm looking to change. I'm gonna try and get my show together and start playing full time.
Good.
Because I my back and everything else, I just can't take it anymore.
You've worked how long now with this job?
Oh, let's see, since 2000. So.
Whoa, coming up on 20 years
I
there.
put it this way: I worked 20 years and never made more than $12 an hour. Worked most of that for $7 an hour, carrying railroad ties and everything. They abused me. If we had a Bobcat, that went with the other crew because I was the Brian in a wheelbarrow come do it over here.
Wow.
So I got sent with I literally would push a wheelbarrow up into the dump truck with a plank.
Even though you really didn't have to, like they had machines to do it?
Well, they could have.
Damn, that's what happens when you work too well in some certain circumstances.
That's exactly what happened. I was a hard worker, and my dad told me, he says, if you work hard, everything will take care of itself. Well, he didn't really. That was maybe in his time.
Yeah.
But in my time, they just took advantage of you, and I didn't know my worth. I had a good idea, but it didn't really do me much good to know that much. And then finally, in 2000, I decided to start my own. I already knew how to do tile work. Knew how to build a house from the ground up, and so I went out on my own, just by myself, and it worked. But then again, now that it's a little harder to make a living out there doing it, and I really, really need to get back into music and finish my life out. Whatever time I got left.
So you're already seeing it as the final season or something?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hoping that it's a good 20 years left or something, but if,
it's hard to say.
The way I look at it, and I don't even really know if care if you, I hope you believe in God, because that, going through life not believing in anything's got to be a lonely situation. But to me, when it's your time to go, if you thought this was exciting, can you imagine what the show is after you go?
I have no idea.
Because that's an eternity on the next one.
I like what Alan Watts said about all that, because have you heard of him? He's an old philosopher. No. Okay. The idea that after you die, this is just like a mind experiment. Pretend you go into a place where you could do anything you want. Let's say call that heaven. Anything you want to do, it's yours. You could be the king. You could be a dancer. You could sleep with 1 billion women. You could do whatever you want. Let's say that's what eternity is in heaven, okay? After, just like we said, Garth Brooks, $50 billion. You could do anything you want every single day. You can have 3,000 orgies if you want. Eventually, what are you going to start thinking?
This is getting boring.
I love it. Then what?
Well,
So you're already bored with all the things you thought you would want in this life.
Yep.
So what's next?
I would think the only thing that, to me, especially now that I've been sober for 12 years, to me, just being is good enough.
You found like a place where you could just happy being conscious.
For 30 years or 35 years or whatever, it was always the next party. Where is it? Got to be there. Where's my hookup, and all that.
Stimulation everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, all the gigs I played, for crying out loud, everybody came out of the woodwork to want to meet you and give you what they got. And so, I was a test subject,
Try this pill. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And
choose the red pill.
But I'm telling you, now that I've been sober for 12 years, I like going out in the yard and sitting on a chair. My one dog passed away 2 years ago, and we just got another one now, another golden retriever, and her name is Tasha.
Nice.
And so she's about 16 months old now, and I just love going out and sitting in my yard and let her play the ball and stuff, and just, like I said, just be.
The simple life.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is, and it's not, there's no, the bills are the stress, but, and not having the money for the bills and this and that, that never changes. But I don't drink over it, and I can still say, you know what, the Lord always has provided for me, and he always does. I'm not going to say, I don't even need to knock wood. Even if I'm in trouble at the last minute, and even if it goes past, something comes up to take care of me.
Yeah.
And as long as I believe that, because I'll tell you what, I think if everybody did this, I did this actually now I do it even more, but I caught myself because I thought about it. I pray for things, but he gives them to you in his time, not your time. And I stopped because I forgot to say thank you to God for what he gave me, because he answered my prayer. It wasn't what I wanted, but I remembered and I thanked him. And then I sat there and I thought, and I go, okay, what else have you asked him? And I thought about a lot of things, and I just went, by God, he answered every one of my prayers. And I forgot about some of them, Sure would like a new truck. Drove my car around for 3 years. Next thing you know, out of the blue, it blows up. Next thing you know, Lynn buys a car and I'm driving a truck.
But you had forgotten you asked for it.
Yeah. Just things like that. And you go, you know what? He answers them in his time. And I can tell you this, whatever I ever made for a plan for myself never works. And if I keep, you got to keep doing. You don't just sit there and go, okay, well, I'll wait for the next thing. But you keep moving your feet.
Yep.
And next thing you know, he's got you pointed in the right direction, but you got to remember to pray for it. And you also got to remember to thank him for everything he has given you, because it's just been unbelievable. He's given me everything I never ever, in all my drinking years, I was always a God-fearing Christian, but I was a drunk one. And when I sobered up, I actually got to, I'm not a Bible thumper because I don't know enough about the Bible to thump, but I do take every opportunity to let people know what he's done for me.
Sure.
Because it is a miracle.
That's really all you can do, because if you go beyond what your own experiences...
Well, you scare people.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of my thing. I stay silent on all that because I did go through all that stuff too. But one thing, it's funny, it goes back to Garth Brooks, the song called Unanswered Prayers.
Yeah.
Even if you asked for something and it didn't come your way, let 10 years go by and you start going, oh, that's why that didn't happen. Whatever you believe for God or whatever. You know? Some people say he, some people say she, some people say just God or whatever. Or just having a feeling that having faith in that something always seems to come through for you and being grateful for it, I feel like that's a very powerful thing, because then you don't put a name on it.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think you already lived through the whole thing I was talking about with the Alan Watts thing, whereas eventually after 10,000 years of buffets and orgies and everything you ever wanted, you would eventually want to feel maybe the feeling that you are now of being mortal, of being like not sure what life's all about. Wouldn't you want to go back to what you are now eventually after all those years of living in this place where you could live forever?
You know, I'd have to see what the good Lord's got for me.
Yeah, you don't quite-
I don't want to.
yeah.
I don't want to limit my options here, but you know, for me, a boat up because I'm a Bemidji boy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Northwoods kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I lived on South Lake Irving, right off of Lake Bemidji, and for me to be on the lake, that's what I would want.
Okay, so here's a crazy question. I like winging these questions at people sometimes. What if this is heaven? Because you just said it. Your dream is to be on a lake. What if the other side isn't that stuff? And you're like, I want to go back to that place where there's the boat.
Just so I don't come back in Ethiopia trying to find my
Starving.
next scrap of food.
Sure.
But I'll tell you what, if we all have to go through that, because I'll tell you what, we sure live our lives ignoring that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. All I can say is all those children that are and those people that ever had to struggle in life. I'm an impatient driver when everybody wants to go slow in front of me and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, I'll sit around for a millennial and wait for those people to get what they've got coming to them before I take anything.
Yeah, you've always been a very generous person. The thing about what it seems weird about this place is even if you tried to help everybody, you'd probably go crazy, right? Eventually.
Oh, yeah.
So you seem to do what you can within your circle. There's an old saying, tend to the part of the garden that you can control. There's a guy who always brings that up. And that you could reach, that you can take care of. And it seems like when you do that and you take care of what you can control, it almost seems like you start to build a different attitude about the world, and that makes you see things differently. And you've suffered, so you know what it's like to suffer in certain capacities. So you have empathy for people. And you're not going to go out and try, I always say this, you're not going to go out and try to harm people anymore.
No.
So in a weird way, all the laws there are against killing and doing all this really bad stuff, they don't apply to you anymore. You've gone beyond those things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what ascending in the world of your spirit is. You don't go around trying to hurt people anymore. But back in the old days, when you were maybe more vengeful and jealous and all this stuff, you may have needed a lot of those laws and rules and commandments to not do those things, you know? So it's kind of cool to see that there's a hierarchy of things and that you've reached a point where you know you wouldn't go out and purposely just try to kill somebody for no reason.
No.
That's good.
Well, you know, like the one, it's all the little things in life, you know, and I've heard that, you know, it's the little things.
There's a song.
Well,
There are a couple songs called Little Things.
Well, it really is because, you know, like, for example, if me and Lynn are walking into a restaurant, you know, people rush, they go, oh, Jesus, already busy. Now, if they get in first, that means we got two more people to wait for while we're standing in line waiting to get our table.
Yeah.
I like to do things like go up and grab the door, like try and beat them, and then open the door and let the couple through, and then Lynn and I go in. You know, things like that to show them that, you know what, it's not all about me. It's about all of us being there for each other. And I do that whenever I can.
That's called an abundant attitude. Like, you know you're going to get the table. You know you're not going to starve to death. So go right ahead. That's got to make
It's another 15 minutes. Big deal.
It either makes their day, the people you let through.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for.
Or it makes them feel awkward as hell. Like, should we let him come back? I never know what to do with people.
But I like them to think. I like to do that to make people see that there are people out there that have other people in mind first. And you know, and like when you're at the grocery store, if you're going up and I've got two things. I've done it where I've had like a couple things, but the lady, this actually just happened. This lady had a basket and it looked heavy. Mm-hmm. And I said, ma'am, please. And she goes, well, no, that's fine. And I said, no. I said, Jesus. I said, please go. And she goes, well, thank you. You know, I mean, those type of things.
I thought you were going to say you put your shit in her basket and say,
yeah, here,
can you hold this for a little bit?
Pay it forward.
Pay it backwards.
Yeah, pay it backwards.
Well, that's just, my dad says, there are angels in the world. And what's funny is a lot of the angels I say are in the world as people, they started out in a very dark place, and that's why they found this. I always call it, I got to quit saying
resurrection.
I say this. Yeah, it's almost like when they say something's going to be resurrected, it's going to be resurrected through you, I believe, in your own personal way. People think it's going to be this big. Well, I don't know either. But from what I've seen from experience, as you get older, you choose two paths. One is to get old and bitter, and you become a curmudgeon, and everything's there. I could have been this if this happened, and you get really dark and bitter. And then there's people like you and like my dad, because my dad used to be pretty crazy. You know, he like I said, drinking a case a day and all that stuff. I understand. But you see a transparent thing happen to these people sometimes. And suddenly the old ego that used to be, me, I need to do all this stuff. Why isn't it happening for me? It just relaxes, and all of a sudden this light comes out of these people. And you see it when people are in their 80s and they've just let go of the idea of trying to control everything, and all of a sudden it's some weird light that comes from them, whatever that is.
And they're okay with the big gut, and
they're okay with it.
It is what it is. And
sure, I mean, there's a thing about taking care of yourself, but if it's making you miserable and it's making everyone else miserable for you trying to change yourself all the time, sometimes you just got to go with the Buddha gut, you know.
Well, and it's really for me. I mean, I grew up, as long as I can remember, wanting to make it in music. Mm-hmm. That before I even realized what it really meant.
Since age 15 or 16?
5.
5, watching your dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So I never paid attention in school. Didn't care. I already knew what I was going to do. And then it wasn't until I was like 18 and my dad says, well, you better not quit your day job and I said, well, thanks for the input. You wait till I'm 18 to tell me this. Thanks for the coach.
Things you could have told me 10 years ago.
But the thing that's, for me, I still have that passion. I mean, I'd love to stand in front of 50,000 people and sing. Mm-hmm. But I just want to do it. I don't care where it is, what it is. I mean, I have a level that I want to maintain, that I would like, because I've already been at a high level with some guys.
I always respected that about you. Yep.
But I'm okay with whatever the Lord had planned for me, because apparently it wasn't to be Garth Brooks. Mm-hmm. And but he did give me a gift to play. He gave you a heck of a gift to be able to jam out. You're just a heck of a musician, and I'm happy with it. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with it now. It was always such a stressful daily. How am I going to make it? How am I going to make it? And every bridge I tried to cross, there was somebody there to stop me.
Right.
You get into a talent contest for Star Search, and one of the judges is so drunk he votes for someone he didn't even see, and we lost.
This is a true story.
Yeah.
I don't know if people remember Star Search, but it was kind of the America's Got Talent, sort of its time. What are the other big ones? The Voice, all that stuff of its time. Was it Ed McMahon was the host?
Well, no, this one here, we were doing the auditions to make it. Okay. So we were in the 50th floor of the IDS in the Orion room.
50th floor? You had to bring all your gear up there?
Nope, they had everything there. We just had to bring our guitars.
Okay.
And Dave and I did a duo. And we did a lot of Alabama back then, so the room held like 500 people or something like that. It was huge. There was huge. And the first week we played, we made it. We got through everything, and the second week we showed up, and here all these people that we beat out, their parents and stuff, they were all there because they were cheering for me and Dave.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You won them over?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the next week, all the other people that lost, their parents, they all showed up again because they were watching Dave and I. And there was one group called the Fifth Street Boys. I believe that's what they were called, and they were awesome.
Wasn't the Backstreet Boys, was it?
No. But these guys had really good vocals, and it was funny because Dave and I went into the men's bathroom to warm up.
Yeah.
And these guys happened to be in there. Well, Dave, he's such a character. So he just looks at me and goes, watch this. And he starts singing, and all of a sudden the guys are like, what the heck? And Dave goes he waves the guys, come on. Hmm. All of a sudden we had 7-part harmony going on in that bathroom, and it was unbelievable.
Singing mountain music or something?
Yeah, it was like, it could have been. I can't even remember which one it was, but it was beautiful. And Dave and I had no problem if we lost to them. Not a problem.
Okay.
You know, if we were going to lose to somebody, we lost to a girl singing New York, New York.
Ooh.
And we're like, and I felt really bad for her because there was the Fifth Street Boys, Dave and I and her on stage, and they announced her as a winner. And I'm telling you what, unfortunately, the whole place booed.
That happens
loud.
Sometimes. Yeah.
And she just really, it had been paid off. Well, and one of the judges, and I'm not going to mention his name because he's a big figure.
Really? Mention him. Come on.
Oh,
Randy Travis.
Joe Sensor.
No.
Yep. He passed out.
No way.
Yep. And he voted for her, and then he got toted out.
So this is an
So he cost me the.
Oh my God. So you think this, totally speculation, you think he voted for, was she a pretty girl? Was he kind of like that kind of guy?
No, he didn't even see it. He was out.
But he cast his vote before he went out or something?
They woke him up to cast his vote.
Who won?
Yeah.
What did I put down? I scratched something down before I passed out. Wow, that's quite a story.
Yep. But you know what? It's meant to be.
Damn.
You know?
Well, our band played one time at a high school. Okay, so we were already an established young teenage metal band by this time, and we played our junior high talent show. Then we went from that to playing First Avenue and all the big clubs around Minnesota. And we even went on this little tour. We played Chicago. We did all this stuff, so we're a really tight band. And we won an award at the City Pages. We had all these accolades, and we were up and coming. And we played our high school talent show. We didn't really have to, but we thought it'd be fun to. And got beat out by a girl who played piano and sang. So a lot of bands I talk to or people, they always say have the same story. But it seems funny because the person who wins those things, they don't ever seem to go anywhere. But the people who came up second or third, even on American Idol, they seem to do way more than those people.
Yep.
So it's got to be some kind of racket. So,
Well, and let me just say, I do love Joe Sensor.
I do too.
As a Viking and everything else, I mean, honest to God, and so I was so excited to have him over there.
But
And being with what I go through,
people are human.
that's what I totally understand it.
Right.
He didn't want to be there. It's another one of these deals you guys got me into.
Mm-hmm.
So I never, really it was kind of, we just joked about it after we got over it. My dad told me, he goes, told you it was rigged. He always told me that.
I love it. The whole time I'm telling you my teenage metal band story, I could tell you were worried, like, oh shit, I said Joe Sensor's name. But this podcast so far is about humanizing everybody. And Joe Sensor, out of anybody, is a human too.
Yes.
Just because
And he's
his
done a
name's
lot.
big.
I'm sure he's done a lot of good for other people. I
Sure.
mean, that's.
He'd probably be
Put it this way: he was sitting at the Orion room trying to vote on his stupid people. That he's like, all right, well,
Yeah, obligations, and
Exactly.
you never know what he was going through at the time. So
I gotta apologize because yes, that's what I was doing.
I could tell. You talk to enough people over the years. That's why I do this podcast, because teaching guitar, half the time I'm just talking to my students and teaching them, but at the same time, it's a conversation that's constantly going. So I can kind of pick up on cues and stuff, but I don't know. I don't want to say it's always rigged because it sounds like a cop-out why we didn't win, but talk to almost any successful band and they'll say, yeah, we did battle the bands and we lost to this other band who never did anything. We found out the kid's uncle was the judge. There's always some weird thing going on.
Yeah. Well, my dad's the one that told us when we were doing it.
It's rigged.
It's rigged. And when I came home that night, he's like, I said, Dad, don't even say I told you so.
I don't have to.
I don't want to hear. Yeah, that's exactly what it was, too. He just said, I don't have to, do I? Shut up. That was even worse.
Sometimes the best thing is nothing. Just say nothing, and it hits home even harder. But that's the thing. You don't know what I always seem to find out is that you aim for something, and it ends up being the thing next to it that you're actually supposed to do. Like my dad, Mike Nastix, I don't know if you know him. He did a podcast with me, and it's hard to tell people what he does because when he first started doing these weird events in his house and filming them and stuff, he was trying to inspire older people to exercise. But older people didn't care. They're like, we're set in our ways. So I think that's what they're thinking. So his actual demographic became college kids that were just kind of smoking weed and watching cable at the time. This is before YouTube. And they saw some weird guy in short pants or shorts doing flips in his backyard and scoring himself. That was a 9. That was wonderful, And so he wasn't aiming for that, but it became his main gig, which is weird. So it's not always what you're trying to do. Sometimes it's either the momentum you have is going to carry you to somewhere else you need to be, or you're going to find out that your initial goal wasn't even supposed to be, and you're just chasing some dream that you thought you wanted.
Well, you know, when Dave was alive, I mean, we went to high school together and stuff like that. And
you guys knew each other since how old?
Oh, God, since we were 10.
Ooh.
And I taught him his first chords on guitar, and then I didn't see him for a couple of years. And then we went when we were in high school. He's like, "Yeah, I'm still playing and stuff." Well, not only was he playing, he got good.
Jumped up the ladder quick.
Yes,
okay.
and then we kept doing weird things like, you know, we had a buddy that went to Mankato, so we brought our cheap amps and our cheap speaker system that I had, but it was good. I mean, you could get some volume out of it. So we brought it with to go to Mankato, and not really knowing what we were going to do. Mm-hmm. Well, then all of a sudden, we're in one of the big apartment complexes, and we set our stuff out, cranked it up, and just the two of us started playing.
Was it a dorm?
No, it was a big apartment complex. I mean, each building was huge, but they had a courtyard. Well, we started playing. Well, everybody heard about it. Well, next thing you know, there's nothing but heads.
Yeah,
peeking out. 1,000 people.
Peeking out the windows?
Oh, come out, and we're partying. They brought kegs.
Whoa.
And then all of a sudden, this one guy comes over, and he goes, "You want to move this over to my apartment?" He says, we'll put you out on the balcony, and everybody will party out in the courtyard. So we did. We set up on his balcony, and I don't even have any idea, but there was just a lot of people out there, and we rocked them, and just the two of us. The two of us could just pick up a guitar, harmonize. He was awesome at harmonizing, and we, you know, just not afraid. You know what I mean? We loved playing music, and Dave he was literally a comedian. Mm-hmm. I mean, he could get people to laugh, and his gimmick was everybody that kind of came to see us and knew us, he'd go, "Anybody have a Bic lighter?" That meant Dave was going to play some slide.
Oh, really?
And you'd have to go like this because Bics would just litter the stage. And he'd grab it, and there was, and the place would always go nuts every time.
People are thinking you're going to play some power ballad or something, but he takes it and starts playing Bad to the Bone or something.
Yeah, well, we did one that was his favorite one, is working 9 to 5 just to stay alive. And he just would, I mean, the whole song, it was just awesome. It was a very simple song, but he carried it with that Bic on that guitar and would get out in front of this, right on the edge of the stage, and play with everybody. And they were just, but I'm telling you what, though, you had to dodge Bics.
I bet. You have to.
My dad did the song, Here's a Quarter. Mm-hmm. His guitar had dings in it.
Ooh, I didn't think of that.
But every week he'd clean up all them quarters, and he'd have like $300-$400.
Can you guys throw him into this hat?
Yeah.
Try not to throw him at me.
No, he'd go, "Here's a quarter," called, and all of a sudden he has his lights up here, and you just see this silver.
I would have changed it to, "Here's a $100 bill. Call someone who cares."
He should have.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Hey man, I'm willing to take a couple quarters to the head if it's gonna." He says, "Brian," he says, when I clean up that stage at the end of the week, there's $300 or $400 on the floor."
Quarters add up fast? You're like,
Well, he played 6 nights a week. Damn. So he just left them all there until the last night.
He's lucky some like rogue janitor didn't come by with a sweeper and take them all.
I don't think, well, he played like Maplewood Bowl and stuff.
Okay.
I don't think anybody dared touch that stage.
I bet. Well, that's the thing. You got to think now, especially nowadays, of other ways of collecting, because it seems like clubs still pay the same or less than they used to. Because you probably came up during some heydays, right, where there was ballrooms full of people and all that. Did you come up during the ballroom era? Okay, because everyone always talks about the ballroom era.
But we never made very much money.
Really?
And like,
but didn't you
put it this way? I usually owed at the end of the night.
Okay, one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I had to rent gear, so I never made money on the gig. I usually charged it was $100 a night, and that's what it cost to rent the gear.
For PA stuff, you're talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd have to drive to Burnsville to Levon's.
Oh, Levon's. I was there not too long ago.
Oh, I love Pete.
It's still there.
Chuck passed away quite a few years back now, but yeah, Pete's my guy over there.
I didn't know that place was that historic in a weird way.
Yeah.
People talk about Levon's a lot.
See, I used to go to the one in Burnsville.
Yeah.
And then they moved to Savage.
That they're right next to Savage Audio, which is where I get my tube amps, or before I got my Kemper, but tube amps repaired. And the guy's like, you should check out the music store down the way a little bit. It's kind of got some history. So I went there, and it's wall to wall, just packed with guitars and amps.
That's where I got my telly.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a good place to buy a guitar. You can tell people really care about stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
But I saw an actual Brian May guitar there, which they're really rare, but it was like $12,000 or something crazy like that. But I was thinking, this place is everything.
You didn't feel like treating yourself to that Cadillac?
Well, you know what? I was about to do a Brian May technique video, which I don't know if you watch my channel, but I do like best techniques of this guy or this girl or whatever. And Brian May was next. And I thought, should I just ask if I can rent it or something? Because I wasn't thinking $12,000 was the budget I wanted to go for, but cool place.
It is. Like you said, though, I drive from Mound out there, grab the gear, go to the gig, do the gig. Next morning, bring the gear back, pay them for the rental. I drove.
That's a commitment.
50 miles round trip, so it was 100 miles by the time I got it back and stuff, and I never made any money, and cost me the money on the drinks.
Plus gas?
And gas.
Okay.
Yep.
Did the band compensate for that at all? Did they take
No,
less
because
money?
that's what my contract, and it wasn't until later when we had gear, but when you're splitting $200 between 5 guys, your gas and your strings and everything else, you do it because you love it. You're not doing it to get rich.
I try to sometimes when students ask, you must make a lot of money playing gigs. I'm thinking, no, that's not how it works. There's 1 or 2 gigs a year where it's, okay, I'll collect for this one to make up for the other gigs sometimes. But it seems like musicians are the very few people that I know that will do something for free because they love the experience of doing it. But doesn't mean they shouldn't get paid. But find me anyone who works a factory job or any blue-collar job that would literally want to do that work for free because they loved it. It's hard to find that. So it goes to show what musicians will go through just because of their love of the art.
But
They'll lose money.
The bars don't mind paying a karaoke guy $300.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. When it comes
so should I just put that down here?
I was going to say, should we show up with a laptop these days and just hit play and collect?
Yeah.
It seems like. But I don't know. It just seems like the common thread seems to be bands want to play their music. They don't want to think about all the other stuff.
Yeah.
But in this Heart tribute band that I'm in, the singer and I are always trying to think of, okay, we need this out there. We need to update the website. We need to get people knowing where we're playing. We need a backdrop. We need t-shirt. It's like all this stuff becomes as important as the music. We have the music down finally, but it's like you have to have someone in the band to sort of think of that next thing. Like you said, it kind of broke my heart when you said this about your dad's advice and how it kind of kept you in one place because you worked your ass off your whole life, you said. But nobody was willing to see the value of that, which broke my heart when I heard that. But I was thinking, is it also work hard but also work smart? Is that the caveat to that? If I may use the word caveat. Like work smart. Get your shit on YouTube. Brian builds a basement. Boom. People are watching it. You're getting paid. It's a different way of working these days. Do you ever think of that kind of stuff?
No, because I'm still trying to figure out something on my phone.
What is this thing?
Honest to God, it works every time I push that button to turn it on, and I don't know how that happens. And then there's a bunch of little thingies on there that I'm trying to,
Weird little pictures you got to push? What is
I heard that they're called apps.
I think so. I think they're called apps.
And I don't know what that's for.
And they do things. But it's like my dad wants to do a podcast now because he's full of funny anecdotes. Anecdotes. I never use that word. Anecdotes. But what's funny is he wants to bring out his old crusty, no offense, Dad, VHS recording camera and do his audio podcast through that. And I'm thinking, Dad, then I'll have to take your camera, bounce this down to this, and then down to this, and then put it up when you could just talk into your phone and everyone can hear you the next day or even that night if I just hit a certain, app button or something. There's a way to set it up. And he's kind of afraid to do it. And I'm finding out a lot of people, including myself, we're stuck in our patterns and we're comfortable with them. So it's hard to get out of it. For example, our keyboardist Nancy for the Heart Band, her name's Nancy, which is funny because of Nancy Wilson.
Nancy Wilson.
But her keyboard is a K2000, which is an old classic synthesizer. I love the thing. But her patch volumes are so different. One song will be this loud, and the rest of them will be this quiet. And I said, can you just drop off your keyboard here, and I'll make all the patches the same volume so the sound guy doesn't lose his mind during the show. She brings it over, and I made a few adjustments, and I changed a couple little things, and she texted me today and said, you messed all my patches up. And she kind of freaked out. And I was thinking, that's the perfect example of being comfortable knowing what you know, and I understand that. Like if you have a guitar that you just know the feel of it, when you hit the 12th fret, there's a little divot on the neck or something.
Yep.
You get used to that stuff. It's hard to let it go.
I know. I'm still in mourning over my telly.
Oh man, why do I feel responsible for that for some reason? Did I tell you to?
Oh, it was your fault.
Oh, damn it. I'm going to go to my grave with that guilt.
No, actually, it's a material thing. But I did have a lot of memories with it, but it was also fun for me. It was like Christmas because I never have enough money to be able to do, and what I was able to get for that guitar, I was able to get a guitar, that PRS that I got, I love it.
Okay.
And
a practical thing too, right? Playing PRS versus the telly had more diversity for your
songs? It just felt more, it was fun.
Okay.
The telly, I was not as exciting. That PRS, the neck is so smooth and everything on it.
All being said, though, if you could have it back, you would want it back.
Oh yeah.
Okay, if I ever see it, I'm going to buy it back. I don't care what you say.
You can keep
yours.
it?
No, it'll
just
be yours.
to know that it's around.
It reminds me of you because when I looked at it, my heart broke. I don't think I told you to do that, right?
No.
Okay, why do I feel bad?
But the thing that made me mad is that they didn't tell me the one thing that I needed to hear.
What?
The neck it needed fret job and everything. And then all of a sudden, after I did it, like a week later, I brought the PRS back in. And I was talking to the guy, and I said, geez, I explained the whole thing. He goes, well, you should have just bought a new neck for it.
For your telly?
Yeah, never even thought of it.
And now I know a guy who could do all that stuff.
And the neck, if you pull the neck off, it says 0100 on it.
That's crazy. Is that a serial number?
I would, and it was an old guitar. I mean.
The 100th version of that guitar. Oh my God. Yeah. Now that I said that, if I ever find it, the guy will charge $10,000 or something. Did you hear about David Gilmour's guitar he just sold? He auctioned off all his old guitars for some reason. I think he got like $4 million or something for one of his Strats, his black Strat.
Woo!
Yeah. But I swear to God, if I see your guitar and it's not $10,000, I'm going to grab it somehow. I'm going to get it for you.
Well,
I'm not going to pay for it. I'm just going to grab it.
No, just put it this way. I'll drive the getaway car.
Yeah. We'll have to go through the records of Guitar Center, see who bought it, but it wasn't there very long. I remember seeing it in the case, and just they left the neck on, I think, and they just had all these like playing marks. And I thought, how many songs were played on that thing?
Oh my God! I mean,
what would you guess?
Oh God!
Let's average it out. 40 songs a night.
Well, put it this way: when we did our shows, we were playing 3 hours a night. Yeah. You had your 4-hour show, but you had it breaks. Took an hour. Or 45 minutes, really.
Okay.
Sometimes close to an hour.
Yeah.
But, every night playing 40 or 60 songs every night.
Yeah, you had to play 60 because a lot of those tunes are really short.
Yep.
2 to 3 minutes, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And we didn't, we joke a little bit, but we just kept going. When we were playing, we kept everybody dancing or we didn't stop and turn around and there was dead silence. Me and Dave were talking. We were entertaining. Garth Brooks don't stop and sit down.
Right.
And that's the way I was taught by my dad. He says, you don't stop and drink and have this dead air. You're there to work. And when you're working, that means you stay engaged the whhole time.
Dead air gives people a chance to go, I do have to kind of pee. Okay, I'm going to leave.
Yeah. When I was playing with you guys, I didn't feel like it was my show, so I didn't feel like I should engage too much. I didn't really feel.
You were really kind about all that stuff. You were trying to stay out of the way.
Well, that's what I was trying to do. I didn't really know what to do, but when it's my show, I know what to do. But
which is funny because if you know Mike Lott, you would have done the opposite because he's all about talking and taking out. He's good with the spotlight.
Oh yeah.
So you could have taken up as much spotlight as you wanted because really, besides me soloing once in a while, there wasn't that much spotlight going around. So
I love Mike. He like I said, he's one of my favorite singers.
yeah, it's funny.
Into the Mystic
Yeah,
he just blows that song away.
we played that at my birthday thing.
That's a hard song to sing.
Oh yeah, just holding out that note in the chorus. Tough.
Yeah.
But I was going to have you come to the birthday thing. I think you couldn't make it, but we brought most of the band back, and we had a lot of fun, and we might do it again this year. So if you're available, come
That one
down.
I'd like. See, I felt really bad about it, but honest to God, I was at this house for 6 months, carrying 2,000 pounds up and 2,000 pounds down, and
Developing that old man strength.
well, I've done nothing but carry heavy stuff my whole life.
I would hate to wrestle you, man.
Oh, well, put it this way: right now, things break so easy on me.
Really? You look like the Crusher, man. You look like you
That's
just...
funny. My buddy at his brother's funeral, that's what he said to me. It's not an insult. You look like the Crusher.
Yeah, you kind of had that gritty voice, and I'm sure people who hear this could tell right as you're talking, the second you sing, it's just that fullness and that grittiness, and it sounds like you just had like when you hear the country crooners, the greats,
Yeah.
you just hear like this personality oozing out of their voice. That's what you have automatically.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So leave us with a number. No, I'm just kidding. Do. One thing I was going to say is if you do want to make it to the show, if we do it, I'm not sure if it's going to happen yet. It'd be cool if he came up and played because we had Joe, the originator of the band. It was his idea first. Why don't you get together and have some students play? He came out to the show and I think we asked him to come up, but he just wanted to watch. So either way, you could watch. Or
Oh
you
no,
could come up.
you know me. I love playing, and
All right.
like that one time we played downtown. What was that? I only came up and I did like 2 songs with you.
Yeah, we had so many of those weird gigs. I don't remember actually where it was.
It was like I don't remember, but
Was it a showcase thing?
yeah,
Okay.
you had the young girls that were singing and
Yeah,
stuff.
okay.
That was awesome,
Yeah, it's fun to do that.
and it was just fun. See, I like to come up and it was fun for me because I didn't have to sing all night. Just come up and do. I think I did a Leonard Skinner song.
Was it?
Give Me 3.
Okay, that sounds right.
And then I can't remember the other one I did, but it was fun because, you do a couple songs. I went and sat down, and then all these people that I didn't ever meet before came up and were saying, hey, good job. And everybody likes a pat on the back,
You get to be what do they call that? Not the unicorn, but just the person that comes up, kicks ass, and leaves. And then people go, that's him over there. Let's go say hi. And for the rest of the night, you're this hero because you just had to do that little bit and show what you could do. It's amazing. It's better than playing a whole night, actually, because if you play a whole night like I did for my birthday, you're on stage the whole time, and everyone just sort of waves as they leave.
Yeah.
And you never really get a chance to mingle and soak in all the attention. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
what I mean.
that's one thing that my dad taught me too. When I do a show and it's mine, and I don't go to stand at the bar and just have a drink. I don't intrude on people.
Yeah.
But I walk the room, and whoever wants to stop me, then I'll engage them.
Okay.
I don't like to intrude. If they're stop and go, hey, I like to walk the room, and then whoever stops me and wants to talk, I'm more than willing and more than happy to.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know,
Because you're
usually it doesn't go, you don't have to walk too far. Usually it's just off the dance floor, and you get.
One time we played a country show and we wore these certain uniforms. So I thought, okay, we're in the band. Everyone knows we're in the band because we have these, not Garth Brooks.
Sergeant Pepper.
No, they were, it was a country band. So it was black shirts with this cool white thing going across the shoulders. It looked pretty cool, actually. And there was a group of girls that we all, these girls. So after our second set, after the first set, you don't always want to socialize too much. People are still getting into it and stuff. After the second set, I had some liquid courage. I thought, I'm just going to go there and they're going to want to talk to me. And I walk up and I thought, they're going to notice me right away because of my shirt. And I started just hanging out. And this girl turns on and is like, yeah? Like, hey, who are you? I wanted to say, can't you tell by the shirt? Nobody cared. So it's funny, if you go around trying to seek attention,
Exactly.
it doesn't happen. But
Yep.
if you walk to the bathroom, someone will stop you usually, and they'll really have genuine praise. But I feel bad because I don't know how to return that. How did you do it?
Well, there's so many different things that happen in the course of a night that a jealous boyfriend.
Yeah, that sucks.
You never even talked to his girlfriend, but she said something to him.
Hey, that guitar player.
I got really good at calming that situation down because I just would tell the dude, let me just tell you, son, you got lucky. She's very pretty, but
Ooh, that's a good move because then you kind of compliment her.
Yeah.
And you sort of show that he's a jerk, and if she runs out the door, she might end up with you at the end of the night.
But I just tell him, there's one thing I don't do, and that's try to mess with another man's woman.
Nice.
And now that I got my woman, I say, I got my woman at home, and what she would do to me doesn't.
You have a built-in excuse.
Yeah.
You know what I say to jealous boyfriends? Give me 3 steps. Towards the door.
Perfect.
It usually works. One time we left, we probably have a million gig stories. I don't want to bore people because I want to have a part 2 and a part 3 with you if you don't mind someday.
Oh, no problem.
But there was a time I left a show and I thought the guy was a jealous boyfriend, but he wasn't. He was a guy in a long trench coat, and that's never a good sign usually, I should say. And I was carrying my amp. And you know how at the end of the night, people are either super friendly or they're weird or there's just a different vibe at the very end of the night.
Yep.
People are at that 6, 7, 8 drink sort of phase where they're not really themselves and their true, or whatever it is
Well,
coming
you don't
out.
know what they're on.
Either their true self comes out and they're very loving, or, like you said, something dark that hides all the time
Yep.
is coming out finally. And these 2 guys were standing around me and they kept complimenting me. Dude, your playing was amazing. You're singing and all this stuff. And I was like, I really didn't sing. So I knew they were full of shit, you know. All of a sudden, the friend got weird and he said, dude, you should let my friend carry your amp for you. Red flag, right?
Yep.
You're not carrying my amp. So I'm like, no, dude, I got it. And I'm really good at, like what you said. You just play along. You just sort of have fun. Nah, my car's right there. It's cool. And all of a sudden, his friend said, no, you're going to want to let me carry your amp. And he pulls his jacket back and there's a gun
Oh, Lord.
in his hip. And it was probably because I was 5 drinks in. I didn't flinch. I'm like, oh, that better be real. Better be a real gun. And I just kept walking. And then it hit me how stupid that was to say that. And I kept walking, but they stopped.
But you know what? At that point, there really isn't anything smart. You're kind of at the, you're kind of caught.
No, there is something smart. Do whatever they say.
Well,
Here's
that's
my amp.
exactly it because
But I
there's
would have
nothing.
lost, probably would have lost my amp. You're right. But I kept walking, and it was that feeling of, okay, I'm either going to get to my car
Or I'm going to get a bullet.
or just black, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to see the other side finally. And that was probably the scariest thing that ever happened after a gig. I don't know. You probably have a lot of those kind of stories.
I've
You
had, I had people coming up and shadowboxing me. Right, I'm sitting there. I'm singing, and I got fists coming in my face,
What?
and I just kept playing. And luckily, I catch the one bouncer that when it happened, he's a big boy,
They just need the one look, right?
and I just looked at. I kind of went like this. I stepped aside of my mic and gave him a look and went. And, did the nod to this guy. And then I went back to singing, and he kept shadowboxing, and my big bouncer came up and took care of that. But, one of the worst things is when somebody's drunk. Have you ever got the mesh of a mic right in your lips?
That is one of the worst feelings.
I get so mad when that happens.
Yep.
I literally knocked a guy out with my guitar when he did it to me. I warned him. He hit me once. I warned him. I said, don't step back. Mm-hmm. Nicely, but I assertively nice. I said, step back, please. And we're in the middle of the song, so I'm playing, but I'm going like this. And he did it again. And he starts laughing. And I mean, you can hear, my lip was bleeding. You can hear it through the PA.
People should know all it takes is them bumping your mic stand.
Yes.
And it goes right into your
But
teeth.
he hit it into my lips, and I saw stars. So he's laughing, and he turns, and I took my telly, and I turned it like this, and I just poked him right in the forehead hard, and he went down.
With the butt of it?
No, with the head of the guitar.
Oh, my God.
I just went like that
You
and
speared
just
him.
speared him right in his forehead, and he dropped.
Oh, my God. Did they have to drag him out, or what happened?
Oh, no, he got up sore, and then he
Okay.
looked at me, and I just told him, I said, I'm going to kick your butt.
Yeah.
If you do even.
And you said this with bloody teeth. That must
Yeah.
have been
Oh, no.
badass.
He knew at that point that I was willing to just
Yeah.
let's do it. You know,
Yeah.
because after that, you're bleeding. I didn't know. That hurts.
Oh, for sure. You
Really
could lose
bad.
You could lose your teeth.
Oh yeah. And my lips were cut up twice.
Oh my God.
And I'm singing with bloody lip and everything. And when you're doing a show, you don't stop.
Right. I always tell people there's an adrenaline that goes through you that if someone came up and literally cut your leg off, you'd finish the damn song.
Exactly. It is. If you're, I got 5 other guys doing their thing back here.
Mm-hmm.
They're all ready to jump ship and help me out if I need it. But they liked how I handled it. But that happened a few different times for me, though.
There's always some asshole in the front. Just,
Oh, yeah.
Either they're oblivious to what they're doing or they know full well what they're doing and they're pissed off because you're getting the spotlight.
Yep.
Ooh, here's the rock star. I'm going to do something. And they could even pretend to accidentally bump your mic stand. A lot of people I know started doing their mic stands to the side like we're doing this. For
That's
the
what
podcast.
I definitely do. I used
Straight
to have
on.
just that straight
Yeah,
on.
yep.
That's when I got it. And I went, nope.
Maybe that's why Garth Brooks wears the... I have one over there. The old air control traffic
Yep.
headset thing.
Well,
Had too many of those.
I can't even tell you how many shows I've done and how much time I've spent on stage, but when they come up on stage and they fall into the drums and break things and you're like, and you know what though, you can only go so far as to how you treat a person. You know he's drunk.
Mm-hmm.
He's having a good time. At least he didn't come up there and start swinging at us.
Sure.
So you got to treat him with some level of...
You got to give them a cushion.
Exactly.
And you're good. You're good with people, so I'm sure you give them every chance you can.
Oh, yeah.
Before you hit them in the head with the...
I gave him every chance, but I was a little short fused with the bloody lip after that.
You know when you'll get really short? This happened at a Heart tribute. It's called Heartless. Kind of funny name, but we were playing a place called Ziggy's in Stillwater. You should come out to that gig. It's fun. You got to hear a singer too.
I'd love to see that.
Singing Ann Wilson, and I'm got to play all those Roger Fisher licks.
I love
crazy.
all that
It's great
stuff.
stuff. The 70s stuff's amazing.
Heart is one of Heart and ABBA. Oddly enough, I love ABBA.
Put them together, you got quite a band.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is this guy, out of nowhere, it was like a frat party or something, came over to the gig, and suddenly this guy stood next to me, and he kept looking at me kind of funny, and what's this guy's deal, And what makes my fuse shorter, because I have a really long fuse. I've done martial arts my whole life. I'm not afraid of people if they jump up. I'm not, if I'm drunk enough, I'm not afraid of guns, obviously. If I'm sober, I am. But he just jumps on stage, standing between me and my singer, Carrie, girl, and he's looking at her kind of funny. And he's just started dancing, but he looks a little bit like he's going to do something. And that'll make your fuse a lot shorter when you're trying to protect somebody.
Yes.
Versus if you're just worried about yourself.
Yes.
Because you're watching him, if he takes a swing or if he does something crazy, you just kind of push him off or something. But he had this weird look like he was going to go after our singer.
Well, that's scary.
It is, because you don't know what people are thinking, especially after 7 drinks or whatever he had. And so I had to lose my happy-go-lucky stage persona, and I gave him the look, and I'm like, dude, get down. And I didn't even have to be too assertive. I just had to say that. And he tried to save face, which I understand. He's like, really, man? He's acting like a dick. And I'm just like, yeah. And I just got really serious for a second. And he got weird because the whole show, he saw me smiling and being happy, but all of a sudden there's this dead seriousness. And I kept thinking, if he takes a run for my singer, it's going to be a bad idea. You know what I mean? And I felt there's something in our DNA. I don't know what it is. It's a fight or flight thing. You ever have to actually do something?
Oh, yeah.
And something comes out of you that you didn't really know you had?
Yep.
That started bubbling up into me, and I was thinking, wow, maybe we don't know what we're capable of until we're put in certain circumstances.
Well, one of the weirdest ones, it just literally the whole night was weird, but this guy was on something, and he kept coming up and bugging me, and he was literally trying to fight me while I'm in the middle of a song.
Like saying shit?
Yeah, I'm singing, and I'm in the middle of singing, and he's just standing there going, he's drunk, and I think he's on something.
PCP or something?
Well, who knows? And my buddy Dave's just laughing at me going, he's playing his lead, but I'm looking over at him, what do I do? And Dave's going, and so then we got done with the set, and we went outside because it's like, I think that was in the summer. It's really hot up there. And we went out in the parking lot. Well, this guy went outside with his girlfriend, and we're just having a beer. And all of a sudden, this guy, full blast, smacks his girlfriend right in the face, and blood went. I mean, I seen blood, and I go, oh my God. And she fell back, and her head hit in the tar.
That could kill somebody.
Yes. And so I handed my beer to my lead guitar player, the other one. We have two lead guitar players, Tom. Handed him my beer, and I walked up to him, and I said, what in the... This is the same guy that was just picking on me. Mm-hmm. And I said, are you out of your mind? And he gets in this karate stance, and I'm like, oh boy. And so then it was funny because I was concerned about his girlfriend, but all of a sudden I got to worry about that because I really wanted to get to her quick because she was hurt.
Yeah.
He did a spin kick on me and came around this side to my left side. And it was funny because I just went like this, dunk, blocked the kick. And he was standing there looking at me like this, and I just knocked him out cold.
That's a classic move, catch the kick and just knock him out.
Well, he was exposed.
Yeah.
And so I just put it mush mouth. And so he went out. So then I picked up his girlfriend, brought her into the bar, carried her in the bar. She was out.
You're a hero. Oh, she didn't even know. Okay.
No.
Okay.
And I laid her down in everybody came to after they seen that, then the waitresses and everybody was, and I said, well, you got this then? Because then she woke up and stuff, and I didn't tell her what happened to her boyfriend. But he ended up coming back up.
Really?
We thought he was arrested. He came back up again. And now he's threatening me. And our bouncer is like 7 foot tall. Mm-hmm. And I said, and what he did to that kid, this kid got bounced. I watched Mike, this bouncer, his hands are huge. He came up behind him, grabbed him by the shoulder, and picked him up off the ground. And this kid was just like hanging there. And Mike walked him out the bar and bounced him off all the walls on the way out.
Damn.
I don't think the kid was awake when he reached the street.
That's funny.
But I mean, all those, I have 100 of those. And you don't know which one's going to go even further than the next.
Well, you're in a situation, I realize this, because I lost my love for playing live. It sounds bad, but I almost quit my band a little while ago because I didn't want to play anymore. Like, we were going to play this backyard party. Like, I don't want to play a backyard party. 3 hours of heart songs. It's just, to me, it seems like more work than it's worth nowadays. If we get a short, fun show, I'll do it in a heartbeat. But these long, grueling shows, I just don't want to do them anymore. But if you play bars enough, you realize you're already in a dangerous zone.
Yep.
People are drinking, and all week, a lot of people are harboring these feelings, going to work, maybe feel resentful, and now they're at the bar, and they're going to let it out once they have enough drinks, you know?
Well, and
you're the one with all the lights on you.
Yes.
So where are they going to go? They're going to maybe go to the person that they're like, oh, you think you're cool? You're on stage. Fuck you. I can, and you're under the lights. So you're going to be a target.
And to them, they think that that's their recognition, and which is because they're on stage or
they get
front.
the spotlight.
Yeah, and it's a negative, but sometimes negative kudos is better than no kudos.
Oh, that's like a little kid will always seek attention no matter what.
Yep.
And what are we but grown-up kids?
Yep. And then you throw the booze on it, and you're a little baby.
And whatever else they're taking.
Right?
Yeah, you're right. You kind of regress back to your darkest ways.
Yep.
And we're lucky being musicians because we have the lights on us. We're doing something we love.
Yep.
We're playing music. We're making people happy. So we kind of get that feeling out. I always wonder if I didn't do that, would I be the asshole pushing the microphone in your face? Do you ever think about that for yourself?
No, because I'm too big a fan of music.
Yeah. You wouldn't want
I don't need the spotlight, and it's the music is it's kind of weird for me because I just love the music, and when I'm on stage and have the spotlight, for me it's a tool to get to know some people.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I can, and if my dad told me this, and he was a master at it. He had people that didn't have any friends, and my dad would be their friend. He would help them through troubled times. And one of the biggest things that he said is that your job isn't just to be up there playing guitar. He says, some of these people have had a hard day. They're coming out and they're coming to see you. You're an entertainer, and that doesn't stop at the stage. Mm-hmm. That carries on. And my dad was a master at it. He was so good at making people feel good. And that's one of the things if I have the opportunity, which definitely has happened many times, when someone's enforcing their ways on me mm-hmm. and trying to be a real jerk, I'm good at calming the situation down, and I'll be willing to spend $5 and buy them a beer.
Sure.
And calm them down. Turn the situation around.
You're like a good negotiator.
Well, but you really do get to know who you're going to be able to turn and who isn't really interested in that.
You could feel that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Some people are so wound up inside, you feel it. You feel them trembling almost as you're trying to calm them down. You're like, this guy is basically going to take a swing.
This guy's dangerous.
I know what's going to happen. Your dad that's a saintly quality. They say there's 3 of them, and I can't think of all 3 right now, but one of them is to include the excluded. And think of that as a saintly quality, because there's so many people out there that don't feel like they belong to anything.
Yep.
That's why I like these long form podcasts, because it's you and me, it's you and I talking like we would drive into a gig like we did in your truck.
Right.
But there's microphones between us, but anyone who listens is part of the conversation in this really weird way. It's including everybody in this, especially if they're interested in music. If they're going to start playing shows and they hear these stories, they might have a little bit of a head start to the chaos that they're going to.
Well, and that's, like I said, my dad, though, he carried it. It was his mantle. I mean, when he said, you're lucky enough to be able to do this. Mm-hmm. He said, it's a gift. And he said, you don't take it lightly. And actually, never, he says, if you're not humbled by the fact that you get to be on stage, he says, you're going to have problems.
But how do you know that when you're first starting? Because that doesn't mean anything when you're starting. Humbled by being able to be on stage. You're just thinking,
that came after years for me. He told me that when I was young.
But it doesn't sink in.
He learned it. He probably wasn't when he first started, he probably learned that too.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to have him to tell me that. And so I did always have it in my mind. And then as I was playing, but I never was arrogant. I've never been an arrogant type of person because I know too many things and seen too many things at a very young age that this can be taken away real quick. You're not all that in a bag of chips. There's always someone better than you. Mm-hmm. And not to mention, I've always been okay with that because I'm a fan of music. I've always invited people up to sing with me. If I didn't invite them, but if they wanted to sing, I'd let them come up and sing a song.
As long as you're
stay cool, coherent, mm-hmm. and you're gonna. Yeah. And I've literally had people that were blown away, and I just was into it.
Isn't that weird when you find hidden talent?
Yes, and I enjoy it. You know what? There's the good Lord loves music, and I'm not going to stop him from hearing this person.
Yeah. Could you imagine being that egocentric? You're like, no, you're good. You better get off the stage.
I know guys that are like that, and they're so shallow.
It's tough, though. You just have to realize, I'm glad you were able to learn that through music, because a lot of times this is gonna sound like I'm ripping on musicians, and I kind of am, because I'm in that circle. I'm glad I started jiu-jitsu, because that kicked my ass to the point where I can't be egotistical about my abilities as a martial artist, because the first 5 years of jiu-jitsu, you just get your ass kicked. But music, if you get enough positive reinforcement and you only do it for a short time, it's easy to think you're the shit.
Yeah.
Like when you play a great show and suddenly there's girls at the after party, they want to talk to you, people are buying you drinks, giving you all this stuff. It's easy for your head to get too big.
It is.
And all of a sudden, if you stop there, you think you're Elvis. You know what I mean? But you do it long enough, how many years would you say you were doing it?
Playing guitar?
Just being in bands. Decades and decades, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. And then, but keep going, I'm sorry.
After a certain amount of time, after seeing other people become more successful than you, after playing enough shitty shows, after all this stuff, you start to realize all the things you said about there's always someone better than you. There's always this and that. But it could take a lot longer, in my opinion, with music than it could with something like jiu-jitsu, in my opinion. But how long did it take you?
I was very young because
When you got humbled?
oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Because I mean, I had a little bit of arrogance about me because I was bullied when I was a kid, and so when I got out of high school, in high school, I pretty much turned it around and was a little bit more nasty if someone picked on me because I had enough.
Okay.
And so I was assertive to protect myself, but I was always cared about people, and like there was kids in our school that were getting picked on, and I wasn't having it.
So you're like the superhero to them.
I told them, I said, if anybody picks on you, you come and tell me, and I'll take care of business. And I said, if they're too big, I got a few buddies that are going to walk with me and help me. And to this day, when I see a couple of them, I never bring that up, but they like me. They know that I had their back.
That's a lifelong tie that you guys will have. I know this firsthand because my friend Corey, who was he was actually the second guest on my podcast, but I put him as the first one for different reasons. I'll tell you later. But we were at a parade one time, and this big jock came up to me, and he pushed me, and he said, "I heard you're picking on my sister," and I could smell the booze on his breath, and I was like 13, and he had the perfect story because it was like, "You're picking on my sister," and he made that up. I wasn't picking on your sister. But everyone around us who heard that thought, yeah, kick this half-Asian kid's ass because he's picking on your sister. So it gave him a justification to kick my ass. It's the oldest trick in the book. Make someone look guilty and then kick their ass and nobody cares, And my friend Corey out of nowhere just comes up, just kind of bluntly, and he's like, "My friend doesn't even know your sister." And then I sort of ran into the crowd like a coward. But to this day, I learned two things. One, I got to get stronger. I have to learn martial arts. Two, I'll never forget that he stood between me and probably the worst ass kicking I would have ever gotten. So you were sort of him to other people then. You sort of had that protective quality for your friends.
You know what? When you go through being bullied, either you become a bully or you have empathy for anybody that goes through it. And I have empathy, and I just cannot stand people because that feeling of being so scared, I mean, I was terrified.
I've been through it.
When you have three guys coming to beat your butt up just because you're there. I'd be out on a nice little sunny day riding my bike, and here they come, and they just beat the crap out of me. All of a sudden, my sunny day just turned out to be and that fear, I can't tolerate somebody else feeling like that.
Right. Because you carry it everywhere you go.
Yeah.
It makes school a lot harder. We had a bully named Jason Peterson, and it's so weird how it ties into my life, but he made me humble because I started off as a bully, and then because of him, I changed. My drummer, Chris Blood, he got bullied by him, changed his ways. So in a weird way, he sort of acted as this necessary catalyst in our life to change our ways.
Yeah.
But because he changed us, suddenly we're on a different path, and my friend I kind of became a protector too. You're right. You either fall down that road. I think it's if your dad's an asshole and he bullies you,
that's the other thing.
You could become one easily. But.
Yep. And that's the other reason why I actually forgave the people that were bullying me.
You saw them later in life?
Well, I actually forgave them when they were doing it because I knew their parents, the way they were treated. And I obviously kept trying to talk them out of beating the crap out of me, but that didn't help. But I understood where they were coming from.
So as they're like...
They were getting beat by their old man.
Yeah. It has to come from somewhere, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so there's some type of thing that isn't me. It's, that gives me this way of thinking. It's not me. It's, it's something that is a gift from God. I'm sure, it's him just going, you know what? Because when I was a little kid, when I went to Sunday school, it started then. There's a God. Okay. I didn't, all right, what do I need to know about him? I didn't argue with it. I just went, okay. And so that's, be good to God's children and this and that. And so I went, okay. And, I just didn't argue with it. I didn't, it's not that I just believe everything I'm told, but I believed in that for some reason. I just accepted that.
Well, you used it for good. It's like having a weapon. You could use it for bad or good.
Yep.
You use this blind information because we all have to admit we were blindsided by it as kids. We're all just like, what is all this?
Yep, exactly.
Who's God? You learn it, and sometimes we visualize something that God is. It's usually a guy with a beard in the sky or something. But over the years, I've questioned it so many times. I've worked it down to where I don't care what God looks like. If there is a God or whatever, I don't want to call it even God. I just call it something has always been watching out for me. And it can't be... Okay, if you give God a name, people can argue with you till the end of time.
Yep.
But if you don't... My friend says it best. He had a very transformative time in his life. He said, I've come to the point where I don't feel like I have to explain it to anybody. And I thought, wow, that's very profound. Because the second you put it into something tangible, people will argue with you all day about it.
Yep.
And you're just like, I don't need to argue about it. I don't even want to push it on you. Like you said, you don't push anybody. You just know it's there.
Well, and the biggest thing for me, you've got all these different religions. As far as I'm concerned, when we all go to where we're supposed to go to, maybe it's all just the one God, and that, to me, that's probably what it is.
Yeah,
you call him, some people call him Allah, whatever they call him. I don't care.
Right.
As long as we all end up in the same place, or you end up in a good place, it's better than worshiping the devil or the loneliness of not believing in anything.
Well, but I hear you.
That's why, to me, religions, Catholic, Lutheran, anything like that, I feel at home in a Catholic church. I'm Lutheran. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm not Lutheran. I'm Catholic, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
I'm wherever I am.
Well, I think that's a good place to be because you're not trying to divide God into something.
No.
The second you divide God into anything, I think there's a lot of problems because then humans just want to have an opponent and they have an enemy, and all of a sudden they start launching missiles at each other.
For
things
me,
just get ugly.
Once the human hand touched the Bible, I'll take the word, but I won't. I'll always be a little bit skeptical as to every single thing that they're.
Sure.
I just believe that there is because I've seen it work. Now, whatever it is, I'm going to find out. But I'm not going to sit and try and hash out with everybody what the sun god said or what, because it really doesn't matter in the long run in the scheme of things. All that really matters to God, I'm sure, is love thy neighbor, and the 10 Commandments of some sort.
Sure.
Just, don't walk around and kick people in the head.
Just the stuff is right.
Exactly.
And it comes down to details for some people, but I still think it's like, someone said it really well. There's a guy named Anthony DeMello who I can't say enough how much I got transformed me just listening to his words. But he was a Jesuit back in the day, and he died mysteriously. It's really strange. But he said, trying to explain God is like trying to tell a blind person what the color green is like. So you have one person punching a guy saying, it's like grass. The other guy, it's like a ripe mango or an unripe mango. And they're punching each other. Neither of them know what they're talking about, but they're both willing to beat the hell out of each other over their idea of it. So I thought, if I could sit in a room with anybody, bring in a Satanist, sit them down, and we'll find common ground. Sure, in the end, we might still walk out the door thinking something different. But in the end, you're going to realize you're both human. You both have the same fear of death. You still have all these things, So There's a lot more connecting us than dividing us. Except they want to accentuate the divisions between us. Why? Gets more clicks, gets more ratings, makes things more interesting. And I don't know. People seem to want to see the bad news.
Well, I'll tell you what. When you can do something nice for somebody and see the responses, I try and help out as many people. I don't have the money to financially help people, but I'm a carpenter, and if somebody doesn't have the money...
Are you Jesus? Jesus was a carpenter.
Yeah. Far from it. I am a sinner. But, You know, I love to go help somebody out if I can hang their flat screen TV because they literally don't know how, and do things like that for people. You know, I don't have the do you know how to put a storm door on? Well, yeah, sure. You know, and it's a couple $100 for a storm door, and that's killing them. Mm-hmm. Well, I find that out, and I tell them, here's the deal. I'll put the storm door on for you. And you can tell by the way that they respond that it's probably one of the biggest things. And like I said, it all comes back to, it's the little things. And it really, all it was time out of my day. Yeah. Nothing is happening that's that important in my life where I can't help somebody out.
You know, what's funny is you're the kind of guy that would do that, just like you would play an extra set for free if you had to, or if you just wanted to. But there is that, but I picture the other side of people come out. Like, I know you probably work with people that are super grateful for whatever you do for them. Right?
Yep.
Anything extra is great. And I was just thinking how funny it would be if you're like, all right, I'll put up your TV, and you get this good feeling. All of a sudden she's like, my toilet's been sort of back.
No, that does happen.
Oh, it does.
Oh, no, that happens but you know what?
There's only so far my charity will go.
But you know what?
What?
Just do it. Mm-hmm. I'm not a no type of person. Yes is the word I try to use.
Have you seen the movie called Yes Man before?
No.
With Jim Carrey? You would love it. It's about a guy, spoilers, who would say no to, even his best friend would be like, can you come to my wedding party? And he's like, well, I'm busy tonight. And he's actually at Blockbuster Video renting a movie. And then he has this transformative experience. He goes to the self-help guy. He didn't want to go, but his friend dragged him to it. And the self-help guy's like, just say yes to every opportunity that comes your way. Just yes, yes, yes. And he didn't believe it at first. And at first it was it seemed like it was working against him a little bit because this homeless guy kept taking advantage of him. I could use a couple bucks. So he gave him all his money. Oh, I see you got a lot more. I could use all that. And so he gave him all his money because he just kept saying for 1 week or whatever, I'll just say yes to everything. And then he found out later that it was actually opening up to all these experiences. He met a really cool girl. He had all these cool things happen to him. And that's what it seems like you are. You just say yes to everything.
Except if you ask my girlfriend, she'll say, he says no, but that's the honey-do list stuff.
Yeah, it's different when you're dating somebody, right?
Well, when you lived with them for 31 years.
That's the thing. You get so comfortable. I think no is a powerful thing too, and you have to balance it out. I mean, if somebody really needs help, you'll say yes. But what if somebody keeps making the same mistakes over and over and over again? And eventually saying no, no will actually help them, then I think you have to pull the trigger on that.
What it is you have to let them know where they're at and what they're doing, and let them know that, I can't,
can't let you hurt
I can't
yourself.
just sit and let you, do this. If you want help, I'll help you, but you got to help yourself a little too,
Sure. That's the old saying, God helps those who help themselves.
Exactly.
And if they're just accepting your charity, but that's going to be an ongoing thing, they're becoming dependent on you, then you see yourself as being a hindrance to their growth.
Yep. And I've had to shut the door on, but that wasn't, I didn't do it, out of spite or do it angrily or anything like that. I just let them know. It was more of
tough love,
more of a come to Jesus meeting that we had.
Sure.
Where I just said, I'm going to call you on it now.
To go full circle on this, you sort of have to have an intervention with people sometimes if you know you're doing more harm by helping them, by not helping them.
Yep.
That's a tough moment, though, because we've probably both had people in our lives and ourselves where if someone keeps helping you, you would have just kept going with it.
Yep.
And eventually you have to get them off that because it's not helping them in the end.
Back when I was drinking, I did that, not really knowing it, because I literally, since I sobered up, I went, wow.
Did you have a girlfriend that was buying you?
No, my friends.
Okay.
They always bought me the drinks and stuff because I was wondering how I ever afforded it, and that's why, a couple of my buddies always made better money than I did.
So they have a bar tab, and you would
and but when I had money, I'd buy too. It wasn't, but I know that I abused the privilege.
Sure.
But we do that when we want our booze.
Well, have you ever, because I have these unclosed tabs, I call them, which is basically not tabs like a bar, but on a computer when you have a bunch of screens open. I feel like I still have a few tabs open to where I feel like I need to pay back people in my life that I've screwed over.
Yeah.
Whether it's a friend who just kept For example, I have a friend who would loan me gear all the time, and sometimes I'd bust something they gave me and I'd give it back knowing it was kind of broken. And I was just in this really bad scarcity place. And to this day, I still want to buy, like, for example, his dad let me use his SG, which back then, oh my God, it was such a nice guitar. But I set it down and the input cracked because the cable was still inside of it. And he never said anything about it. But to this day, part of me wants to buy him a new SG and just fix that problem. You know, kind of like how I feel about buying you back your telly, but
You don't.
But it wasn't my fault now that I think about it. But still, I feel bad that while we were working together, you felt the need to do that to play that game.
It was my total decision. It was, and I would have made that decision again. I mean, the way I was looking at it is that I'll buy another telly, but I didn't think about the memories that I had with that one until it was too late. But I'm happy. Every time I play my PRS, I just enjoy it. So
well, it doesn't fight you as much, I'm sure, because PRSs are just slick and very smooth to play. Okay.
Yep.
So if someone's out there with that 100 serial number
100, you take the neck off and you look on the wood part of the neck, and it's right there.
Oh, geez. But maybe it's with somebody who's really loving
it.
I hope it's not with somebody who just framed it and put it up and some douchey rich guy or something. Like the guy, I don't know who has it. I shouldn't say this, but whoever has David Gilmour's Black Strat, I hope I don't know. Who am I to say what they're going to do with it?
Guitars are made to be played.
Yeah.
But some of these guitars are made to be looked at too.
Yeah.
And let the legend live on in our minds and put that guitar on stage in our minds.
I guess. I mean, would you play David Gilmour's Black Strat on stage?
I'd almost want to say no.
Maybe it gives somebody joy just to look at it and know they have it in their basement or whatever it is. But sometimes I get a little too, I don't know. Like I had somebody loan me what was it? Oh, I bought a new guitar. And I remember I had the case, and I played a bunch of gigs with it. And my student loved this guitar. It was my black Les Paul. And he looked at the case, and he was totally abhorred. He's like, "You ruined the case. It's beat up to shit. What did you do to this guitar?" Because it's his dream guitar. And I said, "It's meant to be played. I played gigs with it. What do you think I did with it?" I was kind of being a little jerky about it, but it's true. In my world, I'm not going to take a guitar and frame it. Of course, I didn't pay $4 million like the Black Strat. But if you don't play a guitar and you don't put it through its paces, that's why I get a little weird about those have you seen those Strats that are pre-weathered, like they drag it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what they do. They somehow make it look like it's been
they probably take a sander to it. And
yeah, there was a funny meme where they were dragging it behind a truck and stuff. But you hold it and it feels like it's been worn in, which is great. But you didn't do that stuff.
No.
There's no story to it.
I put dents in the fretboard there. My dad, he had a 12-string Ovation, 12-string Vox, and I'm not kidding you. His calluses on the end of his fingers were very evident. I mean, they bulged out from playing 6 nights a week for years and years and years. But he had divots in the fretboards just from hitting D's, A's, and
the chords he played the most.
Oh yeah, well they called him 4-chord Harry, but I'll tell you what he did with 4 chords was very cool.
Sometimes that's the best way to go.
Yep.
It's the Bruce Lee, practice one kick 10,000 times versus 10,000 kicks one time each. So if you get by doing 4 chords and it's just your wheelhouse, you could do so much with it.
Yep.
More with less. I like that. Do you have to pee? I could kind of tell. There's my teacher intuition. All right. Well, that was fun.
Well, I love anything you got. I mean, it's been a total joy meeting you in the first place. I mean, I was just very happy that happened. And
we've
had some good fun.
In a while. We haven't seen each other for how long?
A year or 2.
Yeah. And I was going to say that
but you started on this venture and you were busy and I was completely busy. I mean, literally, I'd work and I'd go home and I just went, oh.
Yeah, for sure. Playing gigs probably was tough. But
no, I didn't play any gigs.
No, I mean, when we play gigs, just having to do all that stuff and work the way you were.
But that was enjoyable.
That's good. Well, I keep thinking the reason I'm doing this podcast now is because my life is so crazy right now, ever since the YouTube thing took off on my website, that I am constantly doing videos or playing gigs or now doing podcasts, that when I say, yeah, let's catch up, I can't. It's weird unless I'm in a band with somebody or doing a project, which I say no to everything now. It's weird.
Well, you got to let me know. I'd like to see that Heart Band. I'd like to come out and see that.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I say no to everything. Yeah, we're doing a big July 4th thing, actually, which is going to be fun. And then we're opening, you're going to get a kick out of this. We're opening for because we're a tribute band. Everybody thinks we're opening for all tribute bands, but we open for some pretty real bands. We're opening for the Guess Who and Foghat.
Really?
In July. So if you want to go to Buck Hill and see a pretty crazy show,
that would be awesome. I love Foghat.
Foghat, yep. They just played here the other day with Thorogood, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, and I forgot they did Fool for the City. Did you know that? I think it was Fool for the City. And, well, of course, Slow Ride.
They do a lot of good songs.
Yeah, I didn't know their hits. So, I did, but I didn't. I know Slow Ride. But besides that, I saw Fool for the City. I was thinking, cool. And the Guess Who, of course, great songs, great hits, but they have Rudy Sarzo on bass. Do you know who that is? He played with Ozzy.
Oh, really?
And a bunch of other bands, but I'm just going to go there and try not to get in everybody's way, but I'm going to be a total nerd the whole time. Sir, can you sign this? And I'm just going to be a fan. Sometimes you never know. You join a band, even a tribute band, which tribute bands are hot these days. I was thinking about that for you. If you ever wanted to do a tribute to some band, you could probably get a lot of gigs.
My song list that I'm working on right now is a lot of Garth, Brooks and Dunn, Alabama, and then just sprinkled in here all these other bands. But I mean, like my wheelhouse is Travis Tritt.
Yeah,
and
you could sound just like him if you want.
Well, I do a bunch of his songs, and Brooks and Dunn is in my wheelhouse.
Brooks or Dunn? Which one are you closest to?
Brooks.
Kicks Brooks. It's weird I know that. Yeah, they were a powerhouse. I kept hearing their name back in the day. Yeah, they're still playing.
If they show, they took a hiatus too, but I think they're back out doing a little bit of shows. Okay. I think they came out with another album, as a matter of fact. I think
we did Neon Moon. Is that them?
Oh yeah,
we did that with the country band at my birthday. And that would have been a song for you to come up and sing.
Oh, I do that one.
But our singer, Brett, he has a super low voice. So we did it in the key of E instead of A. But it still sounds good, man. When
the sun goes down on my side of town.
Didn't we play that at our show?
Yeah.
And it's funny because we played it, I think, at the real key A, and I had to change the solo. All the dots looked different to me. Well, you did it the real way, but I learned it the wrong way because the other singer does it in E, so everything's off. But it was cool to just hear how much you can pull off a Travis Tritt. It was insane. We did which Travis Tritt songs did we do? Do we do any more?
I do that one.
Okay, I did that with Mike Lott, I think, before.
Anymore. Put Some Drive in Your Country.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with that tune.
New.
People love that one.
But see, doing a solo, though, it's hard for me to figure out. I'm still working on the idea of what I can do to make it sound.
Because when you're
by yourself on stage, that's the one thing why I haven't done it right away, because I'm trying to get over it again, because I did a solo for a long time, and then I was in bands. And then when you go to a band, and it's hard to go back to a solo because you feel like a freak show.
Why? Because you're taking on all the parts?
Well, yeah, but my girlfriend, she tells me, everybody wants to hear you, that'd be, whatever. And I'm like, you sure? I love playing in a band, though. I mean, I like having that bass and that drum and that lead guitar going, and, I just love that.
My brain just went through all the musicians I know, trying to think of who to hook you up with.
Well, keep thinking.
Because you just need someone solid on the kit. You need a bass player that knows their part, and then maybe someone to. I wish I had more time, but take that Travis Tritt tune. There's a riff in it that you kind of have to play while you're singing, right? And you probably don't want to do that. So
I can. That's what I'm working on.
Gotcha.
So that I can do that.
Splitting your brain in half.
And unfortunately, I'm a perfectionist, which holds me back from being because
that's a lot of music.
It was one thing for me to just sit there and play the chords like my dad did. I've pushed myself to want to be better, and I ain't smart enough to get better quick.
Well, the funny thing is, the people that I know that are born with a golden gift, for example, like I said, when you talk, people can already hear the richness of your voice. And when you sing, it comes out even more. You have this tremendous gift, but also your self-consciousness holds you back, which is very strange. Just like knowing a really pretty girl and having her go, oh, I can't meet anybody. I don't know. I see that a lot too.
Well,
So what if you got past that? What if you took some Tony Robbins courses or something and just got out in the world and said, screw it, I don't care. I'm just going to do it.
yeah.
You think you could pull it off?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I need to get back out there. I think everything will kind of start going in the right direction. You know how it goes when you first start a band, and then you play together 15 shows, and then now you show up, you set up the gear, and you play.
Sure.
And that's what I need to get back to, because I feel like I'm walking around in my left shoe all the time and know I don't have a right foot. It's just
Two left feet.
everything's just weird right now.
Yeah.
Getting sober and having people passing away on me and stuff. My whole life went funky, and it affected me. My confidence was shot. That's why I hit the sauce big time back in 2000.
Sure.
And so it really just, my whole life was uprooted. I mean, everything flowed easy for me. I mean, my life was easy. It didn't have any money, but I could show up with a guitar and do my thing. Not even have to question it, just play.
Yeah.
And now I have this thing. It's a anxiety, which I never had.
Sure.
I could jump up in front of 1,000 people and sing. Just do it. And right now, I could still do it because I know that I'm not afraid of crowds. I actually to me, they're my family. Everybody's just, whoever doesn't want to be part of it, there's the door.
Yeah.
And, I just always have felt comfortable in front of a crowd. Just always have. Not doing like this, and if I walked up on a stage and had to give a speech, no, I would not be able to do that.
That's
But when I'm in my zone,
So when you say anxiety, is it when you think about doing it, or is it just a thing that haunts you at night? Or?
I think it's a feeling of not being what I used to be. And am I a freak show, or am I really not? I mean, is everybody just being nice to me, or am I good, or am I not good, or is everybody just being nice?
Well, you know the old saying of the devil and angel on your shoulders? It seems like sometimes the devil wins out that conversation.
Yeah.
And it'll fill you full of these doubts. And you have to trust your friends enough to know that if they care about you enough, they'll say,
They'd at least tell
Brian,
me.
you're kidding yourself, man. You're way past. What are you doing, man? You should be sitting on a rocking chair watching Family Feud, And no one's saying that. So,
Yeah.
but the thing is you also have to walk the walk. There's been plenty of times where I know you mentioned getting a gig here, doing this and that, but I think a big holdup for you, this has happened to my ex-girlfriend too, where you just start to think, why do I always feel like I need someone else there with me to do what I want to do? Do you ever feel like that? Like going alone seems way scarier than having a partner?
Oh, well, for me it is now. It never used to be. I mean, like I said, it didn't matter to me if I was in a band or if I just did a solo. I preferred being in a band, but I just did my thing. But now that I'm older, I don't know how my confidence got so fractured. Because I was never overconfident, but I had confidence because I really didn't care.
Yeah.
I love doing it, and that's the way it is. It wasn't an ego thing. It was just, if you don't have confidence, you wouldn't be on stage. I mean, you have to have a certain amount.
Yeah.
And I always had my reservations also, but I loved it enough to where it won out.
You had more mojo than doubt.
Yeah.
So you got to get your mojo back.
Yeah, I need my exactly.
Yeah.
I need my mojo.
And sometimes that just takes one gig, a good gig, or even just getting through
Well, when
it.
I played with you guys, I felt good. But the thing is those songs weren't in my wheelhouse.
Sure.
But they were still fun for me because it was actually and I love singing with Mike. I mean, I just,
Sure.
I said.
That was awesome having both of you that one gig. Because remember, he was supposed...
Well, when
sometimes
we
I don't know.
harmonize on Gimme 3 Steps.
I was going to say, sometimes Mike, he'll admit this. This is why I could say this to everybody. He'll play things up, because he's very dramatic in a good way. But he called me, I don't think I can do that. So I think I called you. You came up, saved the day. Then he shows up anyway, And he went from I can't to singing backup, and actually I think he took a few leads. Like you
Well,
looked
it was
at him,
fun too.
take
That
the
one
next
night,
verse.
where was that place over in? You played that one bar, and you guys were playing, and I came out, and you had me come up and do "Give Me 3."
Yeah.
So I go to Mike. I go, I'll tell you what, let's do this. You sing the first verse, or I'll sing the first verse. You sing the second one.
Yeah.
I'll take the high harmony. You take the lead harmony. And he's like, yeah, cool. And I thought we blew that song away.
I wish we would have recorded that somehow. I know
Because we did. I mean, that was good. I mean, we harmonized good together.
Oh, for sure. Like you guys were both in this weird place where it just worked, clicked.
Yep.
But the thing is I say I wish we would have recorded it, but sometimes just being in the moment and knowing you lived through that is a good feeling, just
Yep.
like all the gigs you've had and everything. So, but there's going to be things, Mike lives in Texas now. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, well, that's what I felt bad that I couldn't come, but honest to God, I really was tired.
Yeah, I understand. So we'll probably throw something together again. I've had a few students who
Well,
want
I'd
to
certainly,
get together.
anytime, I'd love to see him again.
Yeah. And then we'll just make it work. I'm sure he'll hear this podcast because...
Did you tell him? When I texted you, I said, make sure you tell Mike that he's one of my favorite singers.
Well, I think he already knew that. I think you told him that a few times.
Oh, yeah.
But he'll definitely know now because if he doesn't listen to this podcast, screw you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Mike.
He will. What are you doing, man? What are you doing down in Texas? I think he's selling things. I saw this really weird YouTube video of him doing this ad sort of thing. And he was selling homes or something like that, but it seemed like it was in a movie. Forgive me, Mike, I'm just ripping on you here. But I know it's his job. But he was on screen at this house. He's like, do you feel like your current home is too small? Well, come out. And he's got such a great voice for that kind of thing.
Yep.
But I keep thinking, damn, man, take that voice and come back and let's play some gigs. It's
Well, you
very
know what?
selfish of
I
me.
wonder now then. So now he's in Texas, so now
Yeah.
does he go into the mistake? Does he have some kind of southern drawl going on down there now?
I call him up. He's like, "Yow, what's it? How y'all doing, Mike?" No, he hasn't changed that much. But last time I talked to him was at my birthday thing where he really came out and talked to everybody. But he lost a bunch of weight. He got really healthy. And it's funny because my sister did the same thing when she moved down to New Mexico. So something about Minnesota makes you want to pack on the pounds, I think, because it's cold. You got to survive. Then they move down south and suddenly they're running mountains and stuff. I don't know what they're doing down there.
Boy.
Running hills, sprints.
Minnesota's comfort food for all of us.
I just heard a podcaster say, you guys in Minnesota are hard people because you get through the winter. There was a funny story where this guy literally quit his job as a teacher because he was from somewhere else. He came to Minnesota, and they forced him to go to recess in January, and he thought they were kidding. You're going to go outside. It's negative 30 degrees out. Yeah, we're just going to go outside for 20 minutes. And then he quit that night. I thought that was really So, yeah, you have to, do something to stay alive here. So I think we have a different biology or something. It's weird. But
Yep.
anyways, I know you got a piece, so
All right,
we'll
man.
wrap it up. That was fun, man.
Yes.
Oh, memories. Jeez.
Yeah. Where's your bathroom?
You'll find it. Just go to the back. It's like the only other